present, and Mr. Zangari is not present. Mr. Di Lorenzo is not present. Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mr. Marinello.
Here.
Who would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
sunshine notice.
The meeting has been advertised according to sunshine law.
Communications of special meeting scheduled for Thursday, June 27th at 6 p.m. Also, a reminder of the summer schedule is Monday, July 8th and Monday, August 5th. Those will be our regular meetings. There's no chairman comments. Approval of minutes. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Chairwoman Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Vanda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Mr. Graziano.
Yes.
Ms. Guaman.
Yes.
Mr. Guyan.
Yes.
Okay, approved all.
Okay, the bill list dated June 13th, 2024. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairwoman Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Vanda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Mr. Graziano.
Yes.
Ms. Guaman.
Yes.
And Mr. Guyan.
Yes.
We have two resolutions. Part 2 of PB 2316, which is 450, 456 Graylock Parkway. Can we get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairwoman Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Vanda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
No part.
Mr. Graziano.
Yes.
Ms. Guaman.
Yes.
Mr. Guyan.
Yes.
Our second resolution is PB 2405, which is 202 and 215 Belleville Avenue. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairwoman Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Vanda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
No part.
Mr. Graziano.
Yes.
Ms. Guaman.
Yes.
Mr. Guyan.
Yes.
Okay, we have some old business. PB 2304. We're to review and submit recommendations.
Madam Chair, I believe that Alex Doherty, the planner, is ready to prepare, come up and speak as a board on this application.
Need to be sworn in.
Yeah, let me swear you in. Swear testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, give us your name and address for the record. Is it not on?
Yeah. Is this ring on?
The light is on, but I got nothing.
Yeah, I got nothing.
The mics are
They're not
working.
working.
I did not too.
Let's see, oh wow, that's much better. Give us your name and business address for the record, please.
Alexander Dougherty.
It's not on either. Is it slide up?
No, it's. There you go.
Good, thanks. Alexander Dougherty. 54 Main Street, Chatham, New Jersey. Last name is Dougherty, professional planner. So we're here this evening to discuss the redevelopment plan for the site commonly known as 143 Valley Street and 254 through 256 and 258 through 260 Washington Ave, non-combination area needed redevelopment. Last time I was here, we amended the study area to include an additional parcel. And we're here before you to discuss a redevelopment plan for the site. But it's block 8701, lots 8.01, lot 9, as well as lot 10. For this evening, to go over some of the nuts and bolts of the redevelopment plan that was prepared. As far as the permitted uses and bulk requirements and design standards for the redevelopment plan. I'll give you the exact page number. Page 13, Schedule E of the bulk requirements. The minimum lot area will be 25,000 square feet. To be consistent with the Washington Ave corridor, there will be a 0-foot requirement for the front yard setback for continuity of the existing corridor. And given the property is kind of a unique shape, the minimum side yard setbacks from the ground floor will be 0 feet, except where 3 feet is required for a window that exists against adjacent properties for proper means of egress by fire code and standard development practices. Adjacent structures with windows, there should be a 3-foot separation. So where applicable, that 3-foot requirement will be in place. We have a rear yard setback, again, to be consistent along Valley Street will be at 0 feet. The maximum building coverage will be set about 95%. Maximum lot coverage will be 100%, which will be inclusive of the drive aisles and so forth. We have a building height along Washington Ave, given the steep topography drop to Valley Street, will be set at 5 stories to be consistent with the neighborhood and corridor. When we look at Valley Street, given the topography, that equates to 7 stories along Valley, but it's consistent 5 floors along Washington. So that in vertical feet would be approximately 57 feet along Washington, translates to 80 feet along Valley. For the project site, for redevelopment purposes, the site can yield about 108 units. The maximum number of 2-bedroom units allowed will be 25% of the total. With that being said, we also want to be consistent with the habitability and comfortability of any mixed-use development here. Maximum floor to height ceiling will be 10 feet for residential levels. And again, this will be a mixed-use redevelopment plan. That commercial floor level will be consistent with 15-foot. The big consistent issue is parking. So we want to provide a 1-to-1 parking requirement for the units. With that being said, with the new EV regulations in place, this plan is not to set the standard to have a developer come in and say, okay, well, it was 108 spaces at a 1-to-1 ratio, here are the EVs, thus there's a deficit now, but by requirement, with the new regulations for under statute 40:55D-66.20E, there will be a lot of reduction or addition when you have EVs. So this redevelopment plan calls out specifically that that has already been contemplated. So if any developer comes in, they'll have to, by law, provide EV. It doesn't negate the fact that there has to be 108 physical parking stalls on site for a 1-to-1 parking ratio. With that being said, there's some design elements as far as the minimum retail requirements will be 6 stalls. Minimum visitor requirements will be 11 spaces with that 15% required EV set aside. And then we'll have the parking stalls and sizes and drive aisles that will be allotted in the back for design elements. When we look at permitted uses within the facility, from a permitted, non-permitted, we're promoting a mixed-use development to permitted uses on the ground floor will be for retail purposes. We'll have the availability to provide for business, professional, and corporate offices or medical offices, commercial retail stores and outlets, convenience stores, or co-working spaces. We'll be able to provide for such things as pet shops or veterinary services, pop-up storefronts and galleries, arts and crafts, activity businesses, and art studios. Purpose 7 is on page 11, I'm sorry. Will be entertainment establishments, including but not limited theater, movie studio, clubhouse, bowling alleys, and banquets. We'll have dance and physical fitness, gyms and studios, restaurants and cafes, bars, breweries, banks and financial institutions, and daycares. Retail sales and services, including walk-up services such as ice cream parlor walk-ups, food service pickups, are permitted within the ground floor space along Washington Avenue. And then we have above will be residential floors, and it will consist of game rooms, fitness centers, outdoor space, mezzanines for the residents and their guests. Again, a maximum capacity of 108 dwelling units. We'll have a strong prohibited use found on page 12. Auto repair, auto sales, auctions, dealers, truck, motorcycle, or recreational vehicle sales, auctions, and dealerships. Used car storage, gas stations, car washes, private parking lots as principal uses, self-storage facilities, drive-up facilities of any kind, except the exterior walk-up or pickup services, motels, lumber yards, junkyards, or other open-air storage facilities, schools except for higher institutional learning. We have adult facilities such as pornographic shops, strip clubs, and adult facilities, smoke shops and vape shops, or any general use prohibited within the BG underlining zoning found in Chapter 23 of the Township Code, and or any use that's not permitted herein as a permitted use. And one of the things I want to discuss with this particular redevelopment project is there's a strong emphasis on the facade material being used to ensure it's of the highest quality and standard. I do want to point out when we talk about this redevelopment plan, we are discouraging and prohibiting curb cuts along Washington Ave that would impede on the corridor circulation or any pedestrian conflicts with vehicles. That access to the site by way of residential access will be much like the previous one further up. It will be off of Valley Street in the rear, so there will be no curb cuts along the vicinity. And much like the prior redevelopment application, the design standards is to keep and expand upon the character of Old Belleville Hall. So if we recall, this site included the Elks Club next door. So the existing facade of the Old Belleville Hall will essentially be a lot larger. We'll keep that iconic look, and we'll have a couple floors on top for residential, recessed in a complementary facade to keep that character alive. But the iconic features of Old Belleville Hall, the arched windows, the square windows, the doorways, the peaked cornices there, that is the character and design that will be featured in this redevelopment plan. With that being said, the overall building massing and concept will be of similar material, but nothing that will be consistent of a continuous wall effect, so the building will be broken up with design features and so forth. To enhance the design features, we are allowing for vertical lighting and enhanced building lighting that I think will certainly enhance the corridor and overall aesthetics of the site and corridor. And then the signage for the building, because we are promoting a commercial mixed-use establishment. The signs, we have some sign details on page 18. All signs will be flush mounted and project no more than 15 inches. LED or flashing lights or animated lights are prohibited. So it's going to be a clean, iconic look for the building. Billboards or signboards are prohibited. Illuminated box signs are prohibited. And signs above the first floor, which respectively is the mixed-use component here, are prohibited as well. So we do offer an opportunity, depending on the nature of the building and the tenants there, to be reflective of awnings that will be featured on the prior redevelopment site in the same manner that was designed on that site, so that if there was to be a property owner or developer and the commercial tenants felt like there needed to be awnings, the awnings would be similar features for continuity purposes along Washington Avenue. But with that being said, overall, one of the big components at the last meeting when we talked about redevelopment was the idea of the parking stalls, the EV law that came into place. So this redevelopment plan calls it out specifically. And then one of the comments and concerns was reconciling this redevelopment plan with Township's master plan and surrounding municipality master plans, So with that, I took a deep dive into Nutley's redevelopment plan and their master plan, for consistency reviews and concerns. And pleases me to report to the board that Nutley calls out in their master plan to create a land use and redevelopment plan for Washington Avenue, the East Center Street area, as discussed in the general commercial section. And, they're consistent about providing for continuity along the Washington Ave corridor, for facade colors and materials being used. And with that being said, this comes out of their 2012 master plan update. So I do believe that this redevelopment plan is consistent with Nutley's, and in their 2022 master plan recently published, the re-examination report, which again supports their 2012 master plan. And I do not find any inconsistencies with your surrounding municipalities' master plans and their land use goals and community vision, and certainly not with Belleville's master plan for Belleville. Again, your master plan calls out and encourages supporting the Washington Ave corridor, and I believe this project does that. I also, in this redevelopment plan, we have some conceptual illustrative designs that are reflective of the overall layout of the project, and that can be found starting on the appendix in the rear. To keep the consistency of Old Belleville Hall, we believe in the appendix, in the back of it, this is a good illustrative example of what the redevelopment plan is striving to achieve. And there's a few other examples from a design perspective of what the overall building would be to look like if this redevelopment plan were to come to fruition. With that, I do not believe, as I stated earlier, there's any inconsistencies with this redevelopment plan, and I think we hit all the marks that the community is looking to hear as far as what development is to look like along Washington.
This is the board, Mr. Venero?
You said 108 parking spots, 108 units, and then 25% of 2 bedrooms?
Correct.
So the 2 bedrooms are just 1 parking spot?
So 1-to-1 parking ratio for developments that can keep the 2 bedrooms at 25% or lower. If they break the 25%, then the requirement would go up. But this redevelopment plan, much like the prior redevelopment plan, is at a 25%, ideally 2-bedroom max of whatever the building is. So 108 units would be, when we look at a 5-story building on Washington Avenue, the build out would be the max that this site would be able to yield.
I don't know what significance 25% has. If you have 10%, you're still going to need 2 cars for each 2-bedroom. It's just, to me, it's not enough parking.
How many total spaces are they providing in the building?
So it's 108 for the residents. We'll need 6 parking for the retail and 11 for the visitors, which would account for, I see 16. So that would be about, what, 126 stalls, if my math is correct offhand.
I just feel 2 bedrooms need 2 parking spots. I mean, it's a lot of units. If we could cut it down a few units and get more parking, that would be great. I like the look of the building. I like the look of keeping the old town hall beautiful. To me, it's just too big. Because in theory, I mean, what's going to happen is they're going to have 2 cars, and you're going to want to park somewhere else that somebody who's already living there, you're going to take their parking. It just creates a problem for people that already live there. That's my opinion.
And if I might, with the 108 units, even with 1 bedroom, if there's 2 people in there, you can have 2 cars. It's just a little too big for my opinion.
For my what?
It's a little too big for my thinking.
Do you have any statistics on parking?
Yes, so we approach the parking based off of factual reports out of Rutgers-Blaustein, and
What year was that done?
it was actually done last September. There was a white paper produced regarding parking, cost of parking cost of renting to absorb that cost to construct the parking, and the actual demand for these projects that produce parking. And these projects that I refer to are mid-rise and high-rise apartment mixed-use buildings, and the study found that they're predominantly empty in urban centers. Now, if this product were to be picked up and moved out west, let's say Sparta, Jefferson, it's a different narrative. It's not an urban center. So with that, we do recognize the need for parking. People do have vehicles, but we certainly don't want to produce a product where the parking decks are empty.
It's just with today's rental in our area too. I mean, I don't know how many people can afford a one-bedroom by themselves anymore. You're looking at a minimum probably $2,500, $3,000 for a one-bedroom. There's not many people that afford that. So they look for a roommate. Now you got two people. I mean, the one-bedroom, yeah, okay, one car. But two bedrooms, I just feel you need two parking spaces. We talk about an urban area. Our mass transit in this town isn't too good. I mean, like, what are people going to use?
So when we looked at this project and its location along the corridor at the heart of town, the idea of the car, from a planning perspective, is you're at the corridor where amenities are at your doorstep. So the need to drive downtown is not there because you're located in the downtown area. And with that being said, the cost of an apartment, as I mentioned, the study, the nationwide parking study that was in there, the 2023 hasn't been published, but they do it every year. The national average for 2022, I believe, was about $22,000 what it costs to put a parking stall in a development, and that's where the price of rent comes into play as well. So, like I said earlier, we don't really want to overpark the facility because it definitely does have a direct correlation with the cost of living associated with that project. But the parking demand, again, you leave your development, you leave your apartment, and the amenities are at your doorstep within walking distance, thus not having the need to utilize the car while living there. And then when we talk about the availability of on-site parking, the site will accommodate the additional parking, in the evening hours, but for purposes of providing a balance, it was a 1-to-1 parking ratio if you can keep the two units under 25% of the total development.
Well, I'm always torn in these situations because it's a matter of going by studies towards what we believe, towards the actual cost of the building. I don't want to over require parking because that also leads us to the building and the property staying looking like it is. But on the other end, I don't want it to be short either. I mean, everybody knows that I'm a stark supporter of parking permits townwide. I just think that we should have it. I don't even know if we should be giving them out to buildings like these. And I think that would also right-size it, because if somebody's looking for, an apartment, and they have 2 cars, or they have 3 cars, or they have a big pickup truck or something, and they have nowhere to put it, they'll look somewhere else. And the people that only have 1 car would maybe look for these apartments and go there. So that there's always that trade-off, and I think a piece of it comes down to our own enforcement. Because, again, if we overpark, and I've looked at the studies, I looked at RSIS, which is the state requirements for buildings, right? What they have to have in that. And we've gone over this even when we did the master plan originally. And I was sitting down with Andy, I think, and the CMA. RSIS for the layout of the 25% 2 bedrooms that we're going to allow versus 1 bedrooms. RSIS was giving us less than 1-to-1. So we can't do that. That doesn't make any sense. So, in certain terms, I think we're more conservative than both of those studies. But, like I said, it's an area where I'm torn, and I feel even if we add more parking, I mean, it's just going to lead the building to applying to people and appealing to people that are going to have more cars. I don't think we want that either. So I get torn in this situation.
I just don't know, like, how many people are going to be walking down up and down Washington Ave to go shopping or go to stores. I don't see that now at all.
No, and a piece of that too is we're supposed to be providing a jitney service to take people to the actual mass transit, and we haven't done any of that either. I mean, it's a certain part where, it's out of our hands, but it's something that we're supposed to be doing. I think a piece of every one of these redevelopment plans is supposed to go to that. So I don't know what's going on that level.
One of the things as a planner, we're planning for today to meet the needs, but we're also planning for tomorrow to work address your comment. We don't see that today, but we're trying to encourage that by that walkability and that access. So when we look at the overall project itself, it's predominantly, I guess, from a planning standpoint, to provide housing for young professionals, not necessarily the family nucleus, those that would be out walking and shopping and, taking full advantage of their location and proximity. And, there is this planning, adage where if you design for the car, you'll get the car. And I say that because the cost to park the car in an urban setting is expensive. And the hassle for the car, in this setting is just that, it's a hassle, it's a nuisance. So we're trying to accommodate, the idea that the car does exist, we're not blind to it from a planning standpoint, but at the same time, your community 10, 15, 25 years from now, we're trying to design that downtown to where it's not inundated with vehicles, but rather inundated with pedestrians, on the sidewalk.
If I may, through the chair, how much square feet in rental do we have on the,
For the retail component,
yes?
I can give that to you.
What was your question again?
How much retail space on ground level? And the reason why I asked that, not to hold it up, because I had this conversation, I'm sharing this with everybody, that history shows right now that retail doesn't go, right? They plan, retail doesn't go, it's left open, it's left vacant, it doesn't look good. I said, hey, when we talk to these developers, if they don't retail up in a year, parking, or it's parking first, and then when you retail up, then you can switch that off. If we want parking spaces, option and/or cut back the units to get less units and more parking. I agree with you, Ray. But everything else I do like, but the parking, you're right. People have two cars. It's like a cell phone. Everybody has a cell phone. In your household, you have an IP address that goes to a cell phone, and now we're talking technology and a computer and a laptop. How many, you start to be one. Now it's like 10, 15 to a household. And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So how do we come up with an alternate plan to make, to move forward, but yet keep that parking in a good place?
So,
I mean, in here, if I may, right across the street, we were supposed to partner with the Board of Education and have that parking outside, which was something of 40 spaces. That fell through. So now, them spaces are gone. So, there's a whole bunch of things that could have happened, and it can impede on this, on parking.
To answer your question, the total maximum, the total first floor commercial space, minimum will be 2,930. And we envision the first floor to have approximately 4 small retail components along that.
Just move the whole thing.
We envision that to have 4 small pocket,
turn it off.
speaking of the mics, speakers, we envision to have 4 small pocket retails along the corridor, but there is to be no commercial space. And when you look at the potential design element, you really can't get much bigger than that 2,900 square feet because of the way the topography drops and the parking situation in the back. And there's to be no commercial space along Valley Street. So you're pretty much confined right around that 2,900 square feet of retail. Now,
How are they coming up with this parking? Is it parking deck? What kind of parking is it?
It's all valley, right?
it's off Valley. There is a, I believe it's a two ramp concept that could, we have to provide for circulation and vehicular mobility. So discussing with some design elements, it's a 2-deck design.
Out the back?
Out the back on Valley.
No entrance from the front?
No.
No back, okay.
So they can't even, if they wanted to even use those commercial spaces as parking. First off, I think you get maybe 2, 4, maybe. They really won't get that many more spots, and we'd be creating 2 curb cuts right on Washington Ave to do it. It would never come back to commercial space. Listen, I think we keep telling, for our own failures, again, we failed again across the street.
Yes.
We keep failing. It's us who's failing. It's not the private property owners that are gonna come and pay taxes, bring in new residents with disposable income, stores that might come into the ground floor, might not, whatever it is, but we keep blaming everybody else for our own shortcomings. So I don't know when we stop doing that. I don't know.
Can I just want to remind us what we're here to do tonight. Our job is to determine whether or not this is consistent with the master plan, which Mr. Doherty has testified to pretty thoroughly. The specific issues that you guys are
Mr. Mike, please.
I'm afraid to
Touch
touch
this
this.
mic. The specific items that you're referring to, things that you might want changed in the plan, we can make recommendations to the mayor and council about changes to the plan, such as a parking space per bedroom. Let's say, I know, listening to Mr. Pinero talking about the 2 bedrooms, I think what he's getting at is in situations where you have 2 bedrooms, there should be 2 parking spaces. So that is certainly something we could recommend back to the mayor and council in the letter. We can, at the end of this, we can decide what items you want to recommend, and we can make a decision as a board. What happens following this meeting is a letter would get sent out from my office to the mayor and council telling them what happened at tonight's hearing, and included in that could be the recommendations, if there are any that we can agree on, that we want to send back to the mayor and council.
So, if I may, council, to read it into the record, page 19 talks about specifically the community's master plan. So, to find this consistent with the municipality's master plan, the intent and purpose of the master plan and the consistency to local objectives. Belleville's master plan, which was adopted in 2009, has been re-examined multiple times. The latest re-examination was 2021, and to addressing the extent of the 19 objectives in the master plan, we believe that we've met quite a few of them. Number 1, which is to encourage a wide variety of housing types at a range of sale and rental levels so that families of all incomes can be housed in Belleville, provide for residential growth at current densities, and to permit higher density development and limited target areas. And we believe Washington Avenue is that targeted area. To continue to encourage a balance of land uses, to include diversified residential areas, commercial areas to serve the residents of Belleville and nearby communities, and office and industrial areas that provide jobs and strengthen the tax base. So with this redevelopment plan, we take the blighted property, which one of them was an Elks Hall, but we have the ability here now to provide some retail space along the corridor. So we believe we hit that intent, as well as to conduct a township's planning program with the framework at a regional setting. So we looked again at the Nutley master plan, as well as, Newark's master plan, because they're right here on Washington Ave. And we believe it is consistent with that. In addition to the 2001 master plan re-examination report and their goals, the report recommends specific changes to the township's master plan and the development regulations for standards in the redevelopment plan directly that address the following: incorporate sustainable initiatives and green buildings. There are those elements required in the redevelopment plan. To improve parking standards for residential and commercial and communal parking, and we believe we are hitting that because it's a high density, in the corridor. And then we talked about improving the existing streetscape and aesthetics and walkability of the corridor. Again, we believe we hit that intent by reducing the curb cut along Washington Avenue and encouraging density for that walkability and that sidewalk reactivation. And it talks about there's a lack of brand recognition for the township. So we're looking at principles of place that support the advantages of living and locating a business in Belleville Township. So we thought that was important by keeping the iconic look and character of the corridor and improving it and bringing it to modern design development standards and keeping that sense of place and branding of the community.
I disagree with, I'm sorry with the attorney. Once we accept this redevelopment plan, that sets the number of units and the number of parking. When they come with a site plan, this is permitted. So now is the time to argue it, not when the site plan. Once this plan is accepted, it sets the number of parking and the number of units.
But we can make recommendations.
Right. But now is the time, not site plan.
Well, even,
I didn't say anything. If
But
I
you
did,
said
I
that
apologize.
we could, you know, we don't have, it's not set in stone now, we can make
No,
it.
I didn't say that. I apologize. If I did say that, I didn't mean to say that. All I was saying is that our job tonight is to determine whether or not the redevelopment plan is consistent with the master plan and its principles. We can then make recommendations as to changes to the redevelopment plan, but we don't change the we don't change the redevelopment plan. That would be up to the mayor and council to do.
Right.
We've done this before. We had one where we, I believe, sent like 3 or 4 recommendations to the council. A couple of them were about what should be permitted and prohibited uses in a prior redevelopment plan that we sent back. I don't know what they ended up doing with that because I'm not part of that at that stage, but those are things that are legitimate things for us to go back to them. Even the parking is legitimate. If you wanted to say, we're not comfortable with the one-to-one, we think the recommendation should be whatever, you know, we can send that back to them and tell them, no, you know, while we agree it's consistent with the master plan, we don't agree with these things, and these things we recommend should be changed.
I think we did that with Ronnie's Texaco. When we required them, we wanted like another 2 parking spaces or something like that.
And they cut units out.
And, but it was basically, yeah, you cut units out. This one, we're asking for, if we do what everybody says, we're asking for additional 27 spaces. That could make or break.
27, I think is maybe unreasonable.
27, that gives us
I don't know.
an additional parking per 25%.
That's, yeah, that's,
What do you guys feel comfortable recommending?
well, we have to remember first off that no matter what we recommend, once we go back to the council, they can just say, we don't take your recommendations, so.
there's a different type of approval process that has to go through, but.
I think, trying to take the consensus here. It's 1 car for 1 unit and 2 spots for 2 units,
2 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms.
That's 1 car for everybody.
Right.
That's what you're going with, yeah.
But I think we could take some of the commercial spots
Right.
towards that. I mean, I think
Well,
27 more.
overall, they're gonna use, it's what we require, right? So we're saying you have to require this many for commercial, this many for visitor, and this many for the apartments. We give that breakdown just because that's what we kinda wanna see. How they do it in the end, I don't think we have any way to really hold them to it. So there's 126 spaces now, right? They're gonna use that as they see fit at the end of the day, right? I don't think we can hold them to anything after the fact, can we?
No, you can't, but you can recommend that they add additional parking.
We can recommend that they add more than 126. But again, I don't know what the breaking point is for them either. I mean, if we do it, we could end this project, so.
I'd like to see the project move forward.
Yeah, I don't know, that's why I said, I don't know the magic number, I don't know.
They don't have to
I hate
accept
pressing
the
because it could be, we could sit with the derelict property for the next, or it fall down on itself, which is barely what we're like doing now.
I don't think anyone wants that.
I don't
We're just
know.
looking to obtain more spots.
From a planning standpoint, it's becoming more popular. It used to be very popular, decades ago, early on. For more efficient use of land to accommodate development in these tight urban areas is the vertical stackers, which we talked about at a prior redevelopment plan. Though they may seem new in the development scene, they're not new. And from a planning standpoint, with residents-only stackers, I think it works better because they know it, they're familiar with it. It's not like you're pulling up to 7-Eleven, you gotta figure out how to work this contraption. So with that being said, I think, in this particular space and design elements here, I think, there may be a possibility, if there was a concern, for additional parking to be done in a vertical element, without changing the entire build-out and features of the building. But that would be, again, something that would have to be discussed.
Those parking spaces can actually be designated only for those 2-bedroom apartments too.
Or that, I don't,
Wait, say that again, I
I
can't.
said those parking spaces can be designated for the 2-bedroom
From apartments solely.
So,
well, I don't like the direct. I mean, there was a system that we actually went to tour, which I liked a lot better because it was an automated system. And if your car is stacked on top of someone else's car, you don't have to get that person to get it down or get somebody to get down. The system actually, you swipe your thing, and it was like a rotary. And so it basically moved the cars around, bring yours right out for you. I'm better with that one, and it looks like they're using some of that in here.
There's a small percentage allowed, and that's why I had mentioned that, you know, if there needs to be more, I think it can accommodate more. Again, you know, I'm not the engineer, but, you know, this plan does facilitate a small area anticipation for those 2 bedrooms, for that 2 where they would be assigned those stalls.
Do we wanna ask for more parking via that route?
Yes.
I think we should ask for more parking in general and then give a recommendation, and then there's other ways that they can give us parking, to get parking also.
Well, I think we have,
It should be another conversation.
I think if we say that though, we have to make it acceptable
Questions?
in the plan that they utilize, that they can cure their minimum standards by utilizing that rotary system. We have to be clear.
Well, that's up to them. We can't dictate what they have
Well,
to
we
do.
can't say that they can't.
Right.
We can't, because if it goes back to our actual ordinance, which if we're silent in it, then everything always defaults back to our ordinance. Our ordinance says you can't use that towards your minimum. So if we're gonna sit here and say, we're okay with that, we gotta make it clear that we're gonna permit that in this case.
I definitely agree. How about everybody?
I'm with that.
Does everyone agree with that?
So,
And can we also, in these recommendations, can we also make recommendations for the council or people in charge to be more up on the county and the railroads of not parking on there, ticketing them? Because people just go up there and park on Valley Street. You see it today. So my point is, can that all be included in this to
Yeah.
start hammering?
well, we can put it in there, but it really won't, it's really
It
not
is-
specific to this
Yeah.
Okay,
redevelopment
okay.
plan. But if you want, I can put it in the letter, that's fine. How many extra spaces are we asking them to put in?
I go for
27.
I go for 27.
27.
27.
The 27 reflects 1 extra space for each 2-bedroom?
Correct.
Brian, do you think 27 is feasible?
It's a lot, and I don't know if it's feasible to use it, like, again, if we're gonna do the rotary system, I don't know on their layout, we have to ask them on their layout, you know.
I feel that, I see these projects all over the state of New Jersey, and the commercial is really hard to rent. So I feel you got
No,
those
it is.
11 commercial,
gonna
let's
be
throw another
empty.
10 or 15 on top of that.
And the best thing is too, the commercial, I wouldn't get rid of the commercial spaces just because they're not anywhere near the parking lot, but I do know too, because I've talked to the people in Bloomfield too, so the builders over there, I was in their buildings, and I said, you having problems with the commercial space? I said, you know, it's been vacant. They go, well, not for nothing, our space is a premium. That space across the street, that was vacant. That's half our price. They go in there first. Time went by, and now those Bloomfield spaces are leasing up. They're small spaces, though. I mean, it's not the majority of the building, but it would be nice to see the opportunity for new boutique shops to actually go in. So I think it's always a plus. It adds character to a downtown to have, rather than parking garages, because that makes the downtown less attractive doing that. And again, if the ones in this particular building, they're small, so we're not really winning much parking out of it. Plus, we're adding a garage on Washington Ave, which we were trying to avoid. So this particular case, I don't see that as beneficial as closing those up.
Not closing them,
But if we can get something out of the stackers in the rear, because it looks like there's space to do more. How much more, I don't know.
So why can't we say 25 and negotiate?
Yeah.
They could do that. They could always ask for a variance from us on that, right?
How many, you comfortable with 25 or?
We could ask for 25. If they have to ask for a variance, then we have the power to.
Or they may come back and say, we'll give you a we'll come back and give you 10. We're right.
Well, yeah, just keep in mind that we have currently 17 for visitor and retail.
Right.
So,
10
and
more
we're
would be, the
asking,
number would be 27.
10 more will be the 27, correct.
So if we go a little, if we ask for more,
We're technically saying, we
How
have
many-
108 for parking, for residential. We have 17 for visitor and retail, but we're asking for the additional 27 for the second bedroom and those 2 bedrooms.
That's a total
Now-
of what?
That's a total of 152 parking spaces.
That's what we're asking for. And they have 126 now?
They have 125 parking spaces.
And you're okay with the use of stackers if necessary?
Rotaries, those rotaries. They already have some in the building, so more.
I mean, if we could kind of exchange some of the retail visitor and then instead of getting an additional 27, to get an additional 20, that'd be great. But we would love to see 152.
For planning purposes, would it be reasonable to interpret this as a 1-to-1 for 1 bedroom, 2 for 2 for a 2 bedroom. For any plans that may come forward, again, just so I understand the idea.
I think,
Yeah.
yes, I think the board is more comfortable with something like
Okay,
that.
all right.
And just to clarify, so we're gonna set that as, if we put that recommendation, it gets passed, that becomes a zoning ordinance for this particular space, right? So the parking would be a C variance, and we would be able to grant that here if we deemed
If they came to us with less,
with less.
yes.
So we can still negotiate on site plan. Yeah. So, yeah, at site plan, then we can negotiate down from there.
Sounds good.
We have the power. All right.
Are we okay with them?
Other than the parking, is there anything else anyone has an issue with?
I think the building looks beautiful.
I do too.
And I like the
I
fact,
actually like the fact that this building is finally moving forward.
and I like the fact that everything's going off of Valley, not on Washington Ave.
Yes.
Which is even
Stops
nicer.
a lot of stuff.
I think they did a great job paying homage to the old building
Yep.
too. I love the old buildings though.
It's really good.
Really good.
So, I just wanted to advise the board that, given that the stackers are new on the scene, they actually are a little bit more costly than your typical standard parking deck construction. So just putting out there, when we talk about the cost of adding additional parking, it isn't a cost incurred on the developer for vertical parking, but it certainly is a more efficient use in a space.
I think what we're going to say, if I understand what the board is saying correctly, is that they don't have any objection to using the stackers, but first of all, if this recommendation makes it into the master plan and they come back to us with a different recommendation for how to do the parking, but still gave us the spaces that we were looking for, I think the board would be amenable to that too. I think they're saying that in consideration of what might be a way for this developer to still develop what they have without having to redevelop the plan as a whole,
Yeah.
because it might have enough room for some of the space as it is.
Right. And I think I have the direction for the 1-to-1 and 2-to-2,
Yep.
so going forward, we'll make sure that's implemented.
I think the railroad parking. To me, that's, they'll never.
All right, so I'm going to close this portion.
I'm sorry, but if I may,
Yes.
what did you say?
I honestly don't believe that the retail will ever go there. I'm sorry, I just don't believe it. The retail spaces will never rent there. I just don't see it. I don't think there's a need for it. I don't think there's going to be any, I don't think there's, right now there's none. So,
Yeah, but Rich, they're
Right now,
not
there is-
attached to the parking areas, and they're,
where do these people,
huh?
where do they park when you come up to 4 stores? Where do you park?
In order to do that, then you would have to create curb cuts and 2 more garages on Washington Avenue. You lose spaces in order to do that, and the square footage you have there is just, you're not creating enough spaces.
You're going to have empty stores.
Hopefully,
Right.
as Washington Avenue gets developed, the more
Hopefully, yes.
retail, the more people walk in and to be able to rent them out. I mean, I like the idea of retail.
Again, I think it adds character. Maybe it won't rent today, maybe it won't rent tomorrow, but it will rent. And again, it's better than, I think, having a parking garage on the avenue. It's just dark.
It's better than what we have currently.
Better than, yeah, currently.
And if the retail spaces don't manifest, and, you know, I'm sure we'll always come back to, to the board, and with the owner would come back and say, listen, we tried, we've had it out in the market, it's not producing what we thought it would produce. You know, here's an alternative to what that maybe becomes an amenity for the residents in the building itself.
Right. You don't want them to come back and say more rooms.
I don't want that.
Amenity or
No, I don't want
parking,
that.
no more rooms.
No more, no.
But I'd like to encourage retailers with this
Absolutely.
plan design.
That's the goal.
Okay, so I'm going to close this portion, and I'm going to open it up to the public. Does anyone in the audience have any comments on this? Mr. Sheldon?
Good evening, everyone. Michael Sheldon, 47 Floyd Street.
Can you raise your right hand?
Oh, testimony? Okay.
All right.
Because you know it. Anyway.
You swear the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Sheldon, 47 Floyd Street. These three properties all have AINOR status. AINOR status, Area Need Redevelopment Status, AINOR. Is that correct? I believe the council has given.
That's correct.
Yes, that's how you get to this point, yes.
So it's collectively the planning board's responsibility, the council's responsibility to set the zoning requirements for any redevelopment for this property. And that's why you're doing this redevelopment. What you're doing tonight, these numbers you're tossing around of 108 units and parking, these are just kind of wish lists at this point. This is just a redevelopment. This is not a site plan approval tonight. So when that part of the process comes before you, a lot of these numbers could be thrown out the window, and these things could. But are you trying to set benchmarks tonight, or these are just again a kind of a wish list of what you would like to see, subject to radical change in the near future?
Are you asking me?
Collectively, you're the expert.
I would love to set some type of benchmark where it's a 1-for-1 or a 2-for-2. That's the only responsible thing.
Those are the minimums and the maximums that we're setting here, so they can't exceed what we ask for. This is the zoning. This is the zoning, this is what they can do.
So you're setting max and mins tonight, and whatever happens with the site plan, the site plan has to stay within those limits?
Well, they can ask for a variance from the site.
They can ask for certain variances.
I also want to be clear, we're not setting anything.
No, we're not.
We're recommending to the council what we think should be included in the redevelopment plan. But we don't have the authority to make that happen. We only have the authority to recommend those changes. So this board, I think, is collectively saying, in this case and in the future, that's what we would like to see when the redevelopment plan comes back to us. But ultimately, the mayor and council will pass a redevelopment plan, and if the developer wants a change to that plan, then when they come in for site plan approval, they would also have to ask for a variance.
They can only ask for certain types of variances. So if they ask for a density variance, they can't come to us, they have to have the whole plan amended. They can't ask for any D variances.
All right, well, D variances would necessitate the zoning board, right?
They couldn't go there either, they have to, the whole plan would have to be amended.
The whole plan would have to
Be amended.
There was discussion earlier tonight by Mr. Dougherty that aesthetically, the new building will try to maintain the look of the existing old Belleville Hall. But am I safe to assume that the Belleville Hall itself will be demolished and the new building that is created will have a facade that emulates what the old Belleville Hall may have looked like 100 years ago? That's just like what happened with the Cosarelli project. The Cosarelli funeral home is being completely raised, but when the new building goes up, the first 2 floors. Thank you. I'm going to be asking for a copy of this through Roper, I guess, just so that I have that for my.
The building will be knocked down, and this design element, we wrote in great detail that it will look like this.
All right. Thank you for showing that. I know that over the years, there have been lots of previous applications to maintain the existing Belleville Hall, but I guess time and weather have basically obviated that. The building has to come down now. The planning board expressed a lot of concern about how another large residential building with kind of a minimal amount of parking could impact that area and the rest of Belleville. I'm sure you're all aware, you've got 4 very large mixed-use residential projects, either nearly completed or about to be completed within the next 6 to 12 months. I'm referring to 7812 Washington Avenue, the Tiflinsky project, Cortlandt Street, Terry Lofts project, which is 115 units. Well, it's all part. You've got the Kelsey project north of the ShopRite and the 268 unit complex south of the ShopRite. None of these things are occupied yet. And in months and years gone by, you've had the same sort of discussions. Are we providing enough parking? What's going to happen when people finally start moving in? Are we going to see the 1-to-1 ratio of parking to bedrooms? This is why I think you're the planning board. You're supposed to kind of set the focus and anticipate.
That's what we're trying to do tonight.
Which is why I think I've been advocating at least a temporary moratorium on things. Wait until the existing buildings shake out, see what the impact's gonna be, not only on municipal functions, but also on our Board of Education. Dr. Tomko, who is leaving in 18 days, but at the start of the year, finally, he began to warn how his demographic studies are indicating that within the next few years, we're going to completely run out of space in our schools to accommodate all these new kids. And while the argument is given, well, one bedroom doesn't produce children, we all know that that's not the case. So I think, you know, you're supposed to have some access to a crystal ball and anticipate what's going to happen in the near future. I think you guys should put a lid on any large projects until the ones that are currently under construction are completed, and we can properly assess the impact they're going to have on the rest of us that currently live here in Belleville. And the last thing I just want to say is the developer for this project is Belleville Ventures LLC. And they formed a couple years ago, and unlike most other developers that have actual human names and corporate offices, Belleville Ventures LLC continues to operate out of a post office box at a UPS store in Secaucus, New Jersey, box 191. I can't find any, well, I did find one name associated with this, but are you guys aware of who actually is behind Belleville Ventures LLC? I mean, you don't have to tell me at this point, even though it should be public domain. I believe at the beginning of the year, federal law changed that LLCs could no longer hide their corporate leadership, that had to be now put into the public domain. But I've been searching for the last couple of years, who are the person or persons behind the screen? Who constitutes Belleville Ventures LLC? And it should give you guys a little bit of misgiving that an entity that's going to put up obviously a multi-million-dollar building is operating out of a post office box in Secaucus. You know, Peter Jablinski's got a big office in Englewood. We know where he is. He's, you know, he clearly makes himself visible to everyone. But who? And there's not only Belleville Ventures. There's Belleville Ventures 2 and Belleville Ventures 3, and they're all. That's got to be a really stuffed mailbox, because all three LLCs operate out of box 191 at that UPS store in Secaucus. So, I mean, this is just a little.
Are those each parcel?
I'm sorry?
Are those for each parcel? Is it a different?
Belleville Ventures LLC, I believe, owns all three.
Separately, right? Like there's 1, 2, and 3. Is that what you're saying?
You know, I'm not going to swear, but I don't know if Belleville Ventures owns the old hall and Belleville Ventures 2 owns the but they're all one and the same. They're all obviously.
It's all the same.
Right. They're all the same person. And again, I know one name. I have discovered one name associated with this, and there's actually another LLC, Adler LLC, which is also operating out of that same post office box in Secaucus.
Well, it's not unusual for a number of corporations to use one box, but a person might own several of them in one box. But let me just cut in front of that. That's really not this board's purview at this stage in the proceedings. The redevelopment plan will exist even if the proposed developer abandons ship or sells it to somebody else. The redevelopment plan would still be in place. The redevelopment agreement, which is a document that the mayor and council will sign with the developer to make them a redeveloper of the site, that's more of the mayor and council's problem than ours. We have a very limited scope in what we're doing here tonight. We are limited to finding out whether or not this plan is inconsistent with the current master plan, and to make recommended changes to the plan to the mayor and council. But while I understand your concern, and I do think a town should know who's developing in their town and who's behind it, that's really not an issue for us at this stage of this proceedings.
I
So
understand that point.
it may be more of an interest to us at the time when they come for site plan approval, but for this moment anyway.
As you're writing communications to the council, you know, maybe it would be wise for all of our sakes, for you collectively, to say to the council, let's just back off for a little while. I'm not saying stop all of this big, gross residential redevelopment, but let's just pause for a second until the existing buildings are done. And to Mr. Graziano's credit, in recent council meetings, he can correct me if I'm wrong, but he's kind of alluded to this. I think in particular, the Kalinsky project. He's gone on record at council meetings saying, let's wait until some of these buildings actually come online before we move forward with additional equally large buildings. Otherwise, you're gonna have all these buildings essentially open their doors at the same time, and at that point, it may be too late. We just may suddenly come to a complete crawl, traffic-wise, and overnight run out of space for our schools. And then what do we do? So, again, you might want to ask the council, just let's take our foot off the gas pedal for a brief period of time, let these existing projects finish, do the proper assessment. It's only going to be like 6 months or so before most of these things are finished and they start renting. And then pick up and see where we go next, instead of just saying yes to everything that comes before you.
All right,
Thank
your
you.
suggestion.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to make a comment on this project? Not seeing any hands, I'm going to close this portion.
So I'm sorry.
No, no, no.
What we'd be looking for from the council is a motion to approve or authorizing me to send a letter to the mayor and council saying that this board believes that the redevelopment plan is consistent with the master plan and recommends the change that we've all discussed here about the parking, an additional space for each two-bedroom. I think that's the only particular item that we mentioned, so we'd be looking for a motion to authorize me to do so.
Right, but can we also add, not only for this, but here on going forward?
I can add that to the letter,
Is
of
that okay?
course.
Yes.
Do we have a motion?
Motion?
Second. Roll call.
Chairwoman Alvarado,
Yes.
Mr. Venero,
Yes.
Mr. Banda,
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Mr. Graziano.
Yes.
Ms. Plummer.
Yes.
Mr. Guyan.
Yes.
Approved.
All right, that clears up all business. Applications before the board this evening is PB 2406, which is 6369 Moore Place. Are you ready to proceed?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Posada. I represent the applicant. Yes, we are ready to prepare to proceed.
Matt, how do we spell your last name?
Posada, P-O-S-A-D-A, at the catch, without the athleticism.
But apparently a similar haircut.
Yes, it's a cookie years.
Okay, Mr. Posada, you want to tell us about the application and then we can get started with the witness?
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Matthew Posada. I'm from the law firm Sills, Thomas & Gross. I represent Realty Group. Realty Group, who is here today seeking a minor subdivision of an oversized lot. The lot itself is almost triple the size of what is required as a minimum lot area here at the site. What they're looking to do is do a minor subdivision. There's an existing two-family home. They would like to increase the habitable space of that two-family home that's existing by approximately 502 square feet. And on the other lot that we created, what they're looking to do is propose a fully conforming two-family home, or two-family home, I should say, which will have 3 bedrooms on each unit, one below and one above it. The application itself does have a few variances that we believe are minor in nature that we'll walk through and put those proofs on the record. And in addition, right now, to our best of our knowledge, there is no stormwater mitigation systems located on site. However, we are going to ask to improve that by proposing a dry well on both proposed lots to accommodate the water. With that being said, I do have 3 witnesses tonight. I have an engineer, an architect, and a planner, and they'll prepare and propose their testimony in that exact order. So as long as it's okay with this board, I'd like to bring up my first witness.
Bring him on.
Great. Oh, there you are.
Good evening.
Good evening.
David, can you please say your...
Hold on one second.
He needs to be sworn in.
Raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Give us your name and business address for the record.
David Fantina, F as in Frank, A-N-T-I-N-A, 15 Sunset Drive, Bernardsville, New Jersey.
Okay, go ahead.
Sure. David, can you please provide your educational credentials and your background?
Yes, I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I received a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in civil and environmental engineering, both from Rutgers University. I've been licensed since 1987. I've been proprietor of Fantine Engineering since 2001. I routinely appeared before boards around the state, but I've not had the pleasure of appearing before this board previously.
Can you just name 3 boards where you have been qualified in the past as an engineer?
Sure, 3 that are great in the vicinity are Nutley, Little Falls, and Small.
Thank you.
Full acceptance credentials.
Thank you very much.
Terrific. Dave, have you had an opportunity to review the professional reports that this municipality provided?
I did, yes.
Terrific. Can you please walk us through what we're proposing to do here from a civil perspective?
Sure, and I've got okay, thanks. This is just what you've already seen, these plans. But essentially, as Mr. Posada said, we have an oversized lot here on Moore Place, and it's basically what looks like a vacant lot if you drive by it, but it's all one property. There's an existing house which is over to,
If you don't mind, can you push that back a little first? So
No, we can sit, they want to see it, they do.
oh, okay, I'll stand over here.
Right,
so-
you took them far away from me.
I'm the worst ever.
So there's an existing house on the southerly side of the property. And what we're proposing to do is to keep that house with an addition, subdivide it right down the center, and add a new house on the northerly side of the property. The existing house has a non-conforming front yard setback. However, other than that, all the bulk requirements are being met on both properties. Because it's such an oversized lot right now, we have the required lot area and all the setbacks, required setbacks, except, as I said, for the front yard setback on the existing house. We'll be adding on to it. We won't be exacerbating the front yard, but we will be building over that area. What we're proposing is the driveway will be between the 2 houses, and there'll be parking spaces, 4 on each side. It'll be a common driveway, which will be about 11 feet wide, 4 parking spaces on each side. We had proposed 2 dry wells, both on the southerly property. Your engineer recommended that that be separated. We will change that, so we'll keep the 1 dry well on the southerly lot, which is lot 1801. We'll move this dry well to lot 1802, so each one will have their own standalone dry well. As Mr. Posada said, there are presently no stormwater management improvements on the site, so we feel that that's a significant improvement to the site by doing that. We did have some other arrangements that we looked at, but we felt this was the best arrangement for the property and for the neighborhood. Basically, that's all I have to offer.
And is it your professional opinion it's a better design to have a shared driveway space so we can increase the landscaping space?
Yes, what we have is we have more room for greenery than, there's a significant amount of greenery which will remain on the southerly side of the property, rather than try to squeeze another driveway back in this area. I think it's certainly better to have a shared driveway.
Terrific. I have no further questions for this witness.
Let me just ask a couple real quick, Mr. Fenton. So there's going to be 1 common driveway between the 2?
Correct.
And there's 4 parking spaces for each property?
Right, there's 2, there'll be 2 duplexes, and each will have 4 parking spaces.
Okay, well, if it gets approved, we would need a recorded easement to allow each other to use the driveway.
Absolutely.
Cross
Yes.
easements.
Yeah, maintenance and access.
And access, yeah, because I don't want to see it. Right now, it might be commonly owned, but down the road.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And in addition, and that would run so that people can back up onto
Right.
each other's property, absolutely, right.
And it would have the details of snow removal
Right.
and maintenance.
So just for the record, you require 12 spaces, 1 per each bedroom. The existing house has 3 bedrooms?
Yes.
Each one? So you require 12 and you need 8. You're supplying 8.
Correct.
Okay. That was kind of one of my questions. You need 12 parking spaces, but you have 8. My personal feeling is you need to remove the bedroom and have two bedrooms.
Close that door, please.
If I may just interject.
One second.
Where's the mic?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
If I may, I'd just like to make one quick comment. I understand that there is a parking variance relief, but we do have a planner who's coming up, third, so I believe that would be more appropriate for her to answer. I might start testifying, he's gonna tell me I can, he's right, so yeah.
Any other questions for this witness?
I do. Well, it's more for our,
Okay.
when you do easement, right? That was gonna go, that's where I was gonna go. And one house happens to sell. How does that easement still keep it divided?
A recorded easement runs with the land. So even if this goes through 10 owners on both sides, that easement stays on the properties to require them to cooperate vis-a-vis maintenance and allow access to get on and off the properties.
Nobody can put up a fence and say, I don't want you to use this
Right.
one.
And if I may, to add to the condition of approval, I would also agree on the record that we would record the easement, and the recording of the easement, and actually this is actually pro forma, it should be done this way, is that the recording of the easement would be a condition of approval, so that we couldn't even pull permits to start construction until we drafted it. He gave the blessing that it was good to go, and then it was recorded with the county of Essex.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Any other questions for this
I got a
witness?
quick one. You said you're adding 500 square feet to the existing house?
Yes, sir, on the second floor.
What are you adding?
It's going to go above, and my architect's going to walk you through that.
Any other questions? All right, then I'll open it up to the public. Do you have any other questions for this witness? Mr. Shelby?
Good evening, everyone. Michael Sheldon. I just wanted some clarification about the bedroom situation. There's an existing two-family home on this lot right now.
That's
Where it
correct.
gets subdivided. And how many bedrooms are in the existing?
I'm going to defer that to the architect.
Yeah, if I may, any questions you have regarding the layout and the
All right.
interior space will be the architect, will be the next professional.
All right, I'll save my questions then.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for this witness?
I have a question here.
Please
Come
come
on
up.
up. Please give us your name and address.
Yeah, Vince Farina, 76 North Place. Vince Farina. I have a question, how 12 cars are going to fit into that space?
All right, we're going to have the planner going to be able to
Yeah.
explain that better with the architect as
Yeah,
well.
that's what I'm concerned of, because I got a feeling these cars are going to be up to the back of the fences on the house behind them, which is one of mine to the right. And I'm afraid that may affect the value for all those cars in one particular area.
Okay.
That's problem one. Problem two, it's a very busy street. How do these guys get around with 12 cars in there out
Yeah.
of the place?
Well, actually, they're only asking to be able to put 8 cars instead of 12, but your point is still made whether it's 8 or 12.
Absolutely.
Right.
We're going to have the engineer explain that a lot clearer.
Okay.
Yes, actually, let me say that, because you bring up a very good point. And so did you, sir, over there with the 12 spaces. We looked at providing 12 spaces. Right now, we're only providing 8, and the planner will provide the justification for that. But let me say, at first, we did try to get 12 spaces on this site. And what we did was we stacked on the southerly side, we stacked spaces. And we...
That's behind the house.
Yes, and we parked them almost up to the property line.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and we didn't really like that for a variety of reasons. I didn't think it was the trafficability, it would have been difficult, it would have been right up to the property line.
Absolutely.
So what we did was we reduced it to 8 after, we reduced it to 8, we had valid reasons for reducing it to 8, which is what we talked about. And then we moved everything so it's 5 feet off the property lines on each side. So there won't be any parking within 5 feet of the property line.
From the back of the fence, you're saying, 5 feet.
From the property lines on the north and south side,
Okay.
the parking will stop 5 feet.
Okay.
Okay? And that's really, so we're having eight cars back there. It's 4 on this side and 4 on that side.
Okay. What happens is if there's, let's say perhaps 3 people in the house that drives in that one particular two-family, where are the other cars parked? In other words, each apartment has 3 people that drive. That's apartments right there.
So the justification for the parking itself, the planner will go into detail, and she's gonna run through the RSIS standards, and I did hear the comments of the board, but overall, I think that should be a question, it's very valid, but it's safe for her, because she's a professional that's dedicated to that type of testimony.
Because if I may add, there's a question in my mind, if they have a problem driving, they're gonna be parking on the street, and to try to find a parking space on that street is almost impossible. Understood. That's my question, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Plans indicate 3 feet off the rear property line.
3 off the rear,
Five?
5 on each of the sides, 3 off the rear.
Well, I think he's worried about the rear property line.
Yes.
I'm sorry, sir, excuse me. The parking will be 5 feet off each of the sides, it'll be 3 off the rear.
3 off the rear.
3 off the rear. Now,
It's always gonna be in the next
well,
guy's
well,
yard
well,
back there.
what we've talked about, we can, if the board sees fit that we need 5 feet, what we can do, and again, the architect had talked about this, we can move the parking 2 feet closer, and we would actually move the AC units, which are right behind the house, up to the roof on the one building. So we could make it 5 feet off all of the property lines, if that's the board.
So just to clarify, David, tell me if I'm wrong, but what we're suggesting that we could do, if it pleases the board, is we can modify the roof lines so that we can put the mechanicals up there, not increasing the height, but just modifying the roof lines, so that this way it's 5 feet for each property line, south, north, and I guess the rear is what? West. In
Yes.
which that 5 feet would be compliant with their code.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Is there any provision for some buffering or fence for that?
That's what I was gonna ask. Is there, that was gonna be my question. Is there any provision for fence? That would
If
alleviate.
it pleases this board, I think we'd like to suggest a 6-foot fence, or whatever your zoning.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
requires.
is there any,
We don't
As of right now, no.
we don't really show anything,
No,
but we're
we're
happy.
on.
Pardon me. We're
okay,
happy.
so my question was, I didn't see any proposal of a fence. If a fence went up, then that can and will alleviate, it'll still be 3 feet off. You're not gonna see them, they can't impede on your property, or who's ever property behind, right, left, or back.
Right.
Okay, that's all.
So to address that question, I guess it would be at the discretion of this board, here in the public comments, that what could be contemplated here tonight is modifying so that it's 5-foot setback on all sides, north, south, and east. The mechanicals we put on the roof, not increasing the height of the building, but just being put on the roof itself. And we would also put fencing around all 3 sides, whatever is the maximum height here in the zone without triggering relief.
6 feet is fine.
6
I-
feet.
But I would recommend a composite material fence instead of a vinyl fence.
That's acceptable.
That's fine.
Again, the question is, we're basing on a certain number of cars. Because
Right.
suppose there's more people in that house that have cars than the, what was it, 5 cars, I believe you said?
Understood, we're not bypassing that, we're just addressing the civil testimony,
Oh,
that's it.
all right.
That's planning, that's third matter.
Okay, correct.
Anyone else in the audience? All right, I'm going to close this portion.
Great,
Continue
thanks
to
so
your
much.
next witness.
Yes, my next witness is going to be my architect, Mike Etchen.
Just turn that so the audience can see a little bit.
Please raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you shall give on this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please give us your name and business address for the record.
My name is Mike Ekshian. It's spelled Ekshian, E-K-S-H-I-A-N. First name Pike, H-A-Y-K. My business address is 42 Maple Street, Summit, New Jersey, 07901. My qualifications, I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey. My license is current. I graduated from New Jersey Institute of Technology in 2008. I've been a licensed architect since 2013, and I believe I have appeared in front of this board a while ago, and I've appeared in front of other boards such as Chatham, Summit, Livingston.
We'll accept your credentials.
Thank you.
These, I'm sorry, one second. The plans that you have on the easel are the same plans that were submitted to the board?
Yes, that's correct.
Hank, were you the one who prepared these plans?
Yes, I was.
Did you also have an opportunity to visit the site before preparing those plans?
Yes, I did.
When drafting the plan, did you also take into consideration the zoning requirements of the municipality?
Yes.
Would you mind speaking into this?
Yes. When our client reached out to us, we analyzed the zoning of the property. It's an oversized lot, a lot of it, the engineer went over it with you. And the lot can accommodate, can be subdivided and accommodate two houses. One of them is an existing home that's currently on the property. It's a two-family home. It has 2 bedrooms on the first floor, and second floor has a 1-bedroom apartment. The existing home is 1.5 story structure. However, the attic, the level is so big that it would be considered a 2-story structure in terms of building code. So what we are proposing with the existing structure is to remove the roof and add a 2nd story, kind of intensifying the current story, and kind of add another bedroom. So this is our proposed house with the addition on the existing home. So I'll walk you through the plans. On the first floor, we have 3 bedrooms, a bathroom, and a counter room, and a kitchen, and a living room. And this floor is accessed from the ground level, from the porch. And the second story apartment also has the same layout. However, the difference is that we have a full bathroom in the rear of the house. One thing that we're improving here is that it has a very old porch in the front, so we're taking that down. This porch is currently over the setback line, and we're reducing the size of that and making it a smaller porch. If you look at the elevations on the next page, you can see that the house is a traditional home. It's designed to look like a single-story home. It's a modest-sized house that's going to fit into the streetscape. And you can see the front elevation and the side elevations and the rear elevations here. I believe this is the house where we're proposing to put the condensers on the roof. So we'll make some modifications to the roof lines in the rear to accommodate for that, so that we can pull the parking forward and give you that space in the rear. And on the other lot, we're proposing a new home that meets all the zoning requirements. It is similar in terms of layout to the existing house with the addition, with an open floor concept in the front, kitchen and living room, 3 bedrooms, stackable washer, dryer, bathroom, and a powder room. Both floors are the same, they're stacked. Both houses, we're proposing an unfinished basement. And again, this home is similar in style to the other one. They're not exactly the same. They're going to be differences in terms of architecture, and it's going to be a best improvement to that property. Currently, the current house is very old. We will be improving that. We will be adding another home and improving the streetscape and the property boundary.
Hi, just for clarification, it is actually the proposed home that we would be looking to modify the mechanicals. So can you just walk us through how that roof line would change? Because it's not the existing, but rather the proposed.
The proposed home?
Yes, it's the proposed one.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake.
No worries.
So in the rear, I would
set back the roof a little bit, create a space on the roof for these condensers, and I will put in an access door to be able to access these condensers. I'll have to draw it out to explain it. However, we'll flare out we'll bring in the roof back a little bit, flare out the roof to the side, so kind of blocking these condensers so it's not visible to the neighbors.
And then your professional opinion, although 2 stories is permitted in the zone, the actual facade will look like a single story, so it's more consistent with the character of the neighborhood?
Yes.
Great. I have no further questions for this.
Yeah, I have an additional question.
Hold on 1 second, sir. We'll get to you.
All right.
I have a question for you. How is the facade going to look like a 1-story home? I'm looking at the picture of it that you have on the top left.
We're breaking up the facade with a roof in the middle. So it is a 2-story home. It'll be a 2-story home. However, we are putting in a break with the porch, so kind of breaking up that facade so it's not domineering.
So, that's the existing house, right? That's the modification of the existing house that we're looking at?
No, this is the proposed house.
That's the proposed house,
Yes,
right?
so this is the modification to the existing house.
So it's going to look like a 2-story.
It is a 2-story home, however, we're trying to break it up with these roof lines so that
I see that, but if I'm looking at the home from the street, and there are 3 second-floor windows,
Yeah.
I'm going to see those, aren't I?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not going to look like a 1-story house. It's going to look like a 2-story house,
Okay.
unless you're a very tall person whose head looks out the top window and his feet are on the bottom. And I don't know, it's not going to look like a 1-story house.
The existing house there, I just want to reiterate that the current roof is so large that it would be considered a 2-story house.
Yes, go ahead.
So the existing property right now has 3 bedrooms?
Yes, 2 apartments, one has 2 bedrooms, the other one has
So we
1.
want to go from 3 bedrooms to 12 bedrooms on the site.
Correct, but the property is large enough to accommodate.
Well, it's not large enough to accommodate the bedrooms. Maybe if you keep the bedrooms you have on the existing house, then you might have enough parking. But you want to add the,
In addition.
I don't see how you could add for the addition to the existing house.
Okay, I'm a little confused. I don't know if all of you are confused, because I'm very confused, okay? Old house, current house, okay, what are we doing to it? What addition and how many bedrooms are we at?
We are, currently there's a 2nd floor apartment.
How
We're
many-
removing it and just rebuilding the 2nd floor apartment.
How many bedrooms are going into that second floor?
2nd floor, we're proposing 3 bedrooms.
And it's currently
Each,
1,
each,
correct?
each house has 2 apartments, top and bottom. Each apartment has currently, we're proposing 3 bedrooms.
So if I'm correct, the 2nd floor on the old house is going to be torn down and it's going to look like the new house in the same kind of.
Right, yes.
So on the first floor of the current house, huh? Oh.
So,
Usually speak loud. So in the current home, how many bedrooms are there now in the first floor?
Currently there are 2 bedrooms. We're renovating the first floor of that.
Is that gonna change?
Yes,
So-
I just want it in
I'm gonna
total.
clarify in one shot, right?
Okay,
All right, so there's existing home there, right?
Yes.
2 stories.
Right.
The first story, is it true that it has 2 bedrooms? I mean, 1 2-bedrooms,
Yes.
okay, so that's 2. And then the second story is its own apartment with just 1 bedroom.
Yes, correct.
So total on the site today is 3 bedrooms.
Correct.
Got it. But what we're proposing to do here is modify the first and redo the second so that it's 3 and 3, so we have 6 now,
Correct.
right? And that's the same breakdown that we're gonna have on the proposed, for a total therefore of 12 bedrooms.
12 bedrooms in total.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I'll let the planner go more into the parking requirements, since there are 3 bedrooms, but the tenants may have children and they may not be driving, so it's not necessarily that each bedroom will have a driver. So
We go by
Major-
our ordinance, though, not maybes or could-it-bes. The ordinance requires that you're not going to meet it.
I'll be honest, I have 3 kids, all my 3 kids drive. Let's say that's 4 cars in my house.
Understood, so, well, glad we brought a planner tonight.
All right, is there any other questions for
Yes,
the
if I
house?
may.
1 minute, sir.
Okay.
The board has to go first. Any of it? Done. All right, we'll close this portion and open up to the public. So, sir, come up front.
Okay. Now, it's a little more than I thought now. We're talking three-bedroom apartments in each house, is that correct? Okay. Now, when you put all the cars out in the street and give us 5 feet to the rear of the back fence, suppose you have children in the three apartments. Where are they supposed to play? Is there any room out there to have a barbecue or for them to play in the yard or anything like
If I
that?
may, that would be an appropriate question for the planner.
Okay.
This is just architecture.
That's my second question.
How is the planner gonna testify to whether there's a yard?
Well, the architect's not going to testify to yard, but the planner will put the justifications for why we have relief and why we're not putting more spaces.
Wouldn't the architect know that?
Doesn't know if, do you know if there's any
Well, one of the
outdoor
houses
area? I mean,
has a greenery
okay,
right to the side.
the existing home,
Yes,
and that greenery is not being disturbed, right?
we're not, and that's one of the reasons was to put the driveway right here.
Right.
In the middle.
That makes sense.
Any other questions? Mr. Sheldon? Strictly for the architect.
Well, I now understand what's going on with the bedrooms. I'm not happy with it, but I know what the numbers are now. The lot, as it exists right now, with just the one structure, has a square footage of a little under 9,200 square feet. I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's 9,186.8. Maybe up by a point one there. But I think it's just under 9,200 square feet total for the lot. It's like 87 by 104. All right.
Yeah, 9187.
We Sheldons kind of have eidetic memories in certain cases. All right. With this subdivision, can you give me the breakdown, what will be the sizes of the new lots?
I believe it's 5,512, lot 18.01.
I'm not hearing you about this.
Lot 18.01 is 5,512 square feet. Lot 18.02 is 3,675 square feet.
All right. And as far as pervious and impervious coverage is concerned, if this proposal is approved, can you tell me what the pervious and impervious coverages will be on each lot?
That question would be more appropriate for the civil engineer, including the previous question as well for impervious coverage. So if you'd like, you can call my engineer back up.
He can answer. If you can answer, come on up. Let's join the party.
Certainly. Give me 1 second here. Sure. So the impervious coverage on lot 1801, which is the southerly lot, is going to be 3,281 square feet for about 59.5%. And on the northerly lot, 2,608 square feet, which is almost 71%.
Impervious.
That's correct.
All right. I don't have the following numbers memorized, Mr. Harris usually does, but isn't that well above the allowed impervious coverage for this type of residential zone?
Based on the zoning officer's letter, it's 75%.
It's
75.
Oh, I thought it was closer to 35 or 40%.
No, we're fully compliant.
Yeah, we're compliant on
All
that.
right.
You might be thinking of building coverage, sir.
All right. Yeah, I maybe have that inverted. All right, let me just roll that over for a minute. So when I look at this property from Google Earth, the existing structure, the application is for the address 63 through 69, Moore Place. But Google Earth has all 4 house numbers. When you look at the aerial view, it has all four house numbers, 63, 65, 67, and 69, all at different corners of the existing building, which to my eyes kind of implied that the existing house was consisted of four different residences. You're saying it's only right now two-family, but the Google Earth image would indicate that there are actually four different residences in this structure. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. It's probably a quirk with Google Earth.
That's exactly what it is.
All right. Any idea why Google Earth would have four different numbers associated with the different corners? I've never seen this happen before with any other Belleville properties.
Absolutely no idea.
It's a really strange situation where Google Earth has 63, 65, 67, 69, as though there would be four separate residences in this existing building. All right, just have to contact Google and ask them to fix that. All right, that's all the questions I have at this moment. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, my existing question was, if I may,
You're going to do the parking, right?
what's that?
You want to know about the parking, right?
I can't hear you.
You want to do the parking.
Come on up,
All right,
come on up.
just wait a minute, and we're going to have the planner come up.
Okay.
I feel like everyone's eagerly awaiting me.
If I may, Board Chairman, can we just take a 2-minute recess? I don't need more than 2 minutes, and we'll be right back, and we'll resume.
Okay.
Why don't we take,
Well,
recommend,
Unless you want more.
can I recommend 5?
Yeah,
Yeah.
recommend
Get
10
them out
since
to break it.
I'm working here.
Yeah, recommend 10.
Five for you.
We'll take 10 minutes for you. We'll call the meeting back to order.
All right,
Michelle?
thank you so much. So after hearing the comments of the board and the public, we have no more variances as far as those of parking. I'm gonna bring back up my architect. We are now proposing 2 bedrooms on each one of the units, so 2, 2, 2, 2, for a total of 8 bedrooms. Consistent parking. If I may, I'd like to call back up my architect and talk to you about what we're looking to do.
Okay.
All right. So, we're going to remove a bedroom and change the layout a little bit. And it's still going to be a stacked apartment, so all the units are going to be similar. So we will reorganize the space to only have 2 bedrooms.
I have no further questions for this one.
Well,
You do.
well, I'm gonna be that.
Let's not jump.
Although I do like, it's great, it takes away the issue of the parking, which is great, but I think we need to hear a little bit more about what you're going to do with the space that was going to be a bedroom.
Right.
So that we can,
So in this
I'm
in this
assuming we're gonna
house-
keep the same square footage, so
Right.
what are you suggesting we replace it?
In this house, I'm suggesting to move this bedroom back, give more space to the living kitchen area, make it an open concept, more of an open concept, and moving the bathroom to bedroom 3 area. So that will eliminate the bedroom completely.
So there'll be one bathroom, I'm sorry.
No, it'll still be 1.5 bathrooms.
There's still one.
Yeah, 1.5 or 2 bathrooms.
Now, that's the existing house.
That's the existing house.
Okay.
I think we need those plans.
Yeah. Here, we already have a very nice layout. All the spaces are neatly organized. Here, I would suggest to change the windows to non-egress windows and take out the door and make a big opening for like an office space. So it can.
Offices still require parking.
Yes?
That's all right.
In that case, we have currently a powder room, so I would give the space to a full bathroom or a laundry, bigger laundry space.
I don't mean to be rude or anything, but yeah, we would like to see the plans. I personally would like to see the plans instead of you just saying, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we might do. I would like to see them. I don't know about the rest of the board, but I personally would like to see the plans. Instead of you just so and so and such and such.
I mean, I don't, I don't like spending other people's money to make them come back to the board. We could set perimeters to say, we're gonna approve, 2 over 2 on each floor, the required open floor plans, and they still have to adhere to our current zoning ordinance, which says, anything else that can double as a bedroom, whether it be an office, a den, or et cetera, it's still gonna require a parking space. I mean, our ordinance is pretty good on that thing.
And if I may
It's
add-
up to you guys, obviously, but I think we can police it. Make them come back for 2 families, a little rough. Huh? We could also require a simple subcommittee, which doesn't require everybody to come back and doesn't require a hearing, doesn't require any of that.
I like that idea because it's not easy to get everybody here and also make the public have to come back out again. If we approve this, which now we're eliminating what I think is probably the biggest impediment here, and we set it forth in the resolution specifically that it's going to be redesigned for only 2 bedrooms in each unit, and that they have to come back for review by the subcommittee. If the subcommittee finds something that requires them to come back to the full board, then they can come back. But I just think, as we sit here now, it's not that easy to drag everybody back in here. Though I do certainly appreciate what Mr. Guines is saying. If he's satisfied with that process, great, but if he wants them to come back with the plans, that's fine too. That in a lot of towns, there isn't a subcommittee, that option wouldn't be open. We have that here, so we could maybe.
I'm fine with the subcommittee, and if the subcommittee isn't happy with it, they have to come back.
So we set what we want to see here, subject to subcommittee review. Okay, I'm okay with that. Just so the applicant knows, I mean,
So
the subject.
if I can clarify,
Clarify.
Mr. Marinello, tell me if this is correct, the board would be voting on the application tonight, and if they find in the affirmative, as one of the conditions of approval would be that we would have to return back to the subcommittee showing consistency with what we're proposing here today, the 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2, and that there's not a single unit in there, or space I should say, that could almost be double or as a bedroom unit, or be space that require another parking space.
Right, what you'd be showing is that the number of parking spaces you need is the number of parking spaces you have, therefore no variance.
Thank you.
So basically, yeah, you would submit the plans to the subcommittee for review, and they would approve or say yes or no, or you have to go back.
Sure.
Now, while we're on the topic of the variances, you have a pre-existing front yard that needs a variance, correct?
Yes, we have a pre-existing front yard setback.
Is that changing in all the
No,
front yard
that's not.
setbacks? So it's going to be
It's
exactly what it
Pre-existing,
is.
not exasperating, unless the definition.
I know you're not exasperating,
is
are you?
One at a time.
You're not making it less intense either, right?
No, sir.
Wherever it is where it's going to be.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So at least if I'm reading this letter correct, the zoning official letter, that would mean that the application is otherwise compliant, other than the pre-existing front yard setback?
The only thing is the stall size, but our ordinance says 9 by 19. He's doing 9 by 18, which is the
Which is
accepted
standard,
yes.
right. So there would be a variance from the Belleville ordinance to make it 9 by 18.
And I think the point in the driveway width.
The driveway width as well, 12, we have 11, or 10.95.
That's existing too.
And just for clarifications, doesn't make a difference one way or the other, except for proofs on the record. Is it a C variance or a design waiver for parking stall and driveway width here at Belleville? I know every township's did that.
It's regular zoning code.
Yeah.
All right,
It's in-
Yeah.
So it's a C. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a C that, 9 by 18 is standard, and we often
I'm okay
come
with
across
that.
with a 9 by 18. You mean well, the
Well, that would
easement,
be legal.
yeah, I don't think the easement, I'm not gonna have that before they come back to you they're not gonna do the easement until they know they have approval. So
Yeah.
the easement would come after the subcommittee looks
What's that?
They're gonna have to submit the new deeds that they're gonna file with the county for subdivision.
Yes.
And then those deeds, there'll be the cross easements will be
So-
cited in those deeds.
Yeah, when it actually gets to the building department, everything will be reviewed, and before they can pull permits to actually put a shovel in the ground, that has to be filed. So they won't do it till after we approve it.
Are you still planning on having the planner testify?
No, you guys have another application, hockey games tonight, we can move forward, as long as you're okay with it.
And the condition also will be with the fence too, right?
Yes, the
Yes.
fence, and then we're gonna relocate the mechanical, so it's 5 foot everywhere.
I think before, given that he's not gonna call a planner, I think before you move forward, I think you should, if you want, I can sum up the changes publicly, but I think you should give the two interested parties who spoke an opportunity to speak again. This is sort of new information.
I'm for using it. I think trees.
Okay.
Yes, 3 trees.
So, just so the public is clear, I think you guys can hear me. The applicant is proposing to amend their application to remove a bedroom in each apartment, making the number of bedrooms 8 from the original proposed 12. The 8 now coincides with the 8 parking spaces they're required to have, thereby removing the variance for number of parking spaces. If there is a vote to approve, that condition would be included in it, and the applicant would have to refile architectural plans with the borough, with the town, to show how that redesigned space is going to work. They're going to be getting rid of a bedroom in each place, but they're not changing the layout, so that space still has to be explained to the board so that the board knows what's going in the building. Additionally, there is going to be an amendment to their plan, which includes fence on the, I guess that's the north, south, and east, is that correct?
West, I think.
North,
Yeah, it's north, south, and west.
north, south, and west. And that fence will be a composite material fence, 6 foot high. There will be a change that shows that the parking will be moved back 5 feet from the property line. And that, in order to do that, requires them to move their AC units to the roof of the one building, the new building, not the existing. I think that's all the things I had listed as changes. Does anybody think of anything else that I missed?
Yes, he's gonna provide a separate stormwater management system
Oh.
for each lot.
Thank you, Tom. Each lot will have its own separately designed stormwater management system that will be approved by the town engineer. Designed for and approved by the town engineer. Yes, in an attempt to try and save everyone some time, and given that it's a relatively minor issue, as long as the redesigned plans come back with the 8 bedrooms and the 8 parking spaces, the applicant, as a condition of approval, will go back to the subcommittee, for the subcommittee to review the redesigned layout. And if the subcommittee feels it is necessary for them to come back to the board, then they will have to come back. Now, Mr. Posada, how long do you think your architect would need to redesign that? Because we are back here in the first Monday, June 8th, is that right?
July?
July 8th? No, it's July. It's July 8th. Well, my point is, I don't want to memorialize this resolution. If it's possible, I would prefer they came back and the
the subcommittee reviewed it before we memorialized the resolution. And this way we know there isn't a problem. So it's okay for us, we could memorialize it in August if they need extra time to redesign that.
We can revise the interior layout within 2 weeks.
Okay,
So,
great.
Hypothetically speaking, these can be resolved before the memorialization resolution.
That's, and if not, that's fine. If you need more time, that's fine. But I think what makes sense, and I think would satisfy Mr. Guyan's concern about making sure that the board, the subcommittee is happy with it, is let's see if we can't get that done before the July 8th meeting. And if it is done, then we can memorialize, if you even approve it. I don't want to be ahead of myself here, but if you approve it, we would memorialize it after the subcommittee has reviewed. I think that's simpler.
Yes, I just have one quick question. Does the subcommittee meet on a calendar date or is it by request?
It'll be as simple as if you submit the updated plans, it'll get around to them and then we'll make a decision.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. Mr. Harris, maybe you we're saying 6-foot composite fence on all sides. I thought it was on the back of the
No,
property?
3 sides.
Three sides.
So
Only the 6-foot is supposed to be in the back and not on the side?
No, this can't, the 6-foot can't go in front of
It
the, front of the
Yeah.
houses.
I thought we were supposed to 4 on the sides.
So you could do 6 and 6.
It's 4 in the front, 4 open.
You're better off with parking up 5 feet from the property line and have a 6-foot fence.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's right that we give the public a chance, now that they've been explained what the proposal changes is, if they have any other questions.
Yes.
All right, so
Come on
sir,
up.
come on.
My last question is regard to area for children to play in, as well as barbecue. I've been in this area for 50 years living here, and every house I see on Meacham and Moore Place has a nice size, yard.
Right.
But I see with the size of the houses and the driveway and all the cars, there's not gonna be room for kids to play in, or
So let's let the, I don't know who you want to call to back up to answer that question, but I'm sure that you can answer the question as to what the open space area is like.
Sure, may I please call back up my civil engineer?
Sure.
Mr. Fantini, just to walk through what our open space is, and then again to reiterate that it's fully conforming to both measurements.
Bob, you still with me?
Yeah. I didn't fall asleep yet.
No, I didn't think you were sleeping. I thought you were in deep thought or saying a prayer, as my dad would
I
say.
was recollecting the Moore Place. I grew up on Janner Street, right around the corner. That's the truth.
Take this.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so the answer to that is that on lot 1801, there is a significant amount of open space on the side of the property. It's really side. The rear is really going to be taken up with parking.
Right.
So it's going to be the side of the property on 1801. There's really quite a bit of room over here on this spot for barbecue or for kids to play or whatever passive recreation people do over there. But I will say on lot 1802, although we are fully conforming in all of our bulk requirements, there's really not going to be a place designated where you can put a barbecue on this property. I mean, you're not going to put it in front of the house. So this wouldn't lend itself to that. And if people wanted to do that, they wouldn't move into that. They would not rent that.
No, that's part of the problem. It might be vacant for quite a while,
Well,
especially if there's kids involved.
And Mr. Fantino, wasn't that our
And
intention?
that is a completely different concept than the rest of the properties that I see in the neighborhood.
However, there's no zoning provision that says we need to provide an area for barbecue.
No, understood. But it's not what the area is like. And it could affect the properties of the other houses behind that were on the side of these.
I live on the
And
side.
so, yeah.
No, there's no way that not having an area for a barbecue on this property is going to affect other properties. It just, there won't be any barbecuing on the
Congestion
property.
I'm talking about.
Any other questions, sir?
That's all I have.
Okay.
And Mr. Cantina, wasn't that our intention as to why we're doing a shared driveway to create that more open space?
Absolutely, that's what the green space, that's what we have.
Thank you. I don't know
Okay, Mr. Sheldon, you have anything?
No questions, but perhaps.
Yeah, okay, we'll get to that.
All right.
Anyone else from the public want to be heard on a question for any of the witnesses?
All right, I'm gonna close.
This portion,
Yeah. Does anybody want to come up and be sworn and testify on the application? This is your chance to speak about what you think about the application.
you can say anything, like it, not like it, Mr. Sheldon.
Mr. Sheldon, I don't think I swore you in for this one.
Not this
Did I?
one, no.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. Name and address,
All right,
please.
Michael Sheldon, 47 Floyd Street. And it goes without saying that I'm not thrilled with this plan. This is just another example of the radical transformation of our township. A little bit of space, put up another building, you're decimating the traditional character of so many neighborhoods. Slowly, inevitably, you're forcing homes into lots that were never designed to have this sort of arrangement. You're going to undermine the quality of life for the people surrounding this home. They're going to have some impact on their property values, and this is just part of the inevitable gentrification process. People see what's happening to this township. We're going from a beautiful village to some nightmarish amalgam of Hoboken and Jersey City, and you guys are the only ones who can stop it. But you seem to usually just turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to the screams of us residents who are begging you to stop this. But it probably won't happen tonight. Another ill-advised home, another sardine can will be squeezed into a lot which has historically been an open space, enhancing the overall quality of this neighborhood. But you're going to squeeze another two-family home in here. People to the right and across the street are going to see what is never happening. They're going to be more than happy to sell and get out while they can. And you are just another step in the process of irreversibly transforming Belleville into what within the next 10 to 20 years is going to become a true urban area. This is not going to be a township anymore. It's going to become an inner city.
Thank you, Mr. Sheldon.
Yes, and I live next door to that house.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to come up and give an opinion?
I just got to add one thing.
Come on up. Come on up. I gotta swear you in this time. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, name and address again for the record.
Vincent Farina, 76 North Place, Belleville.
Thank you.
It's around the corner.
You may go ahead.
I worked in sales, in advertising, and I had a 5-county area that I took care of. And this is going back a number of years, maybe 15 years ago. And this is when they started with the constructions of condos. Everybody had the idea, not around here, well, my area that I took care of, is if we build condos next to railroad, especially since people don't like New York, they'll move here and transfer back and forth. I see the same thing happening here in Belleville with these large condos. A point I want to bring out, which I think is disastrous, the point that I know very well, is Bluefield Center. We used to have a big Christmas tree farm that we had up there for years, started from my uncles. And what they did is just transform the property to condos all over up to Bluefield Avenue. I don't know if you folks been through there and see what, to me, it's a tragic thing that they're doing there. I don't even know if they're renting them all out. And that's the problem. That's why it's important, like the other gentleman said, we're going to go into, well, the constricted area and ruining the image of Belleville. As I ride around, you see beautiful old houses with great architecture. sort of like the city of Newark downtown, the old buildings. Beautiful architecture. And we're gonna lose that when we squeeze people in like cattle. That's what I want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything to say? All right, I'm going to close this portion. Thank you.
Mr. Musada, do you want to sum up?
Yeah, just to be short, I just wanted to say thank you for everybody coming out here tonight, not just the board, but the board's professionals and also the public. I think that tonight was an example as to why it's a public hearing, because it's a relationship and a partnership between the developer and the community, and I think we have a better project here, both consistent with the master plan and the zoning ordinance. I want to say thank you. I hope you find it in the affirmative.
Thank you. What's the board's,
I don't think many lots in town are 9,000 square feet. I live a few blocks away from that, and the average, my neighbor's lot is 25 by 100. My other neighbors are either 50, 40, or even 35. A bunch of them are 35, only a couple blocks away. I don't think we're over, I think he even shrank the property. He dropped, what, four bedrooms? So now we have more than enough parking too. We have open space on the property. I think it's hard for us to say if all the neighbors are on that size lots, to say that this guy is wrong for wanting to create a lot almost similar in size. I don't think it would be fair to turn him down because he's the only big lot on the block. For me, I don't think we're changing Belleville. I think we're letting Belleville be what it is. If you put stuff up in downtown, that's where the buildings are that they're all talking about. From Bloomfield, and you want to talk about Bloomfield, Montclair, Verona, I've seen this stuff go all the way out to Morris County. I tell everybody over and over again, they're building thousands of units in Pinebrook, in Montville. 3,200 units in Wayne. All these towns, Montclair's got 2 decades of history on it. I mean, if we want case studies, they're surrounding us. I don't think the builders will be building if the units are vacant. On top of that, you want to talk about gentrification? If there's not enough housing in an area, what does that mean if the demand and the supply don't match? What is true gentrification? California. You can buy a shack for $2 million in California. Why? Because they block a lot of development. There's not enough housing for the amount of people there. So what happens to the local people? They can't afford it and they do have to move out. We're dealing with supply and demand. There's demand for the area. And again, I don't think we're creating character that's not for this neighborhood. It's 2 and 3 story houses on anywhere between 35 and 55 size lots. That's what we're creating here. We're a 52-foot wide lot and a 35-foot wide lot. I know it might change hurts, but it's bound to happen one way or the other. If we try to stop change, block change, it's going to happen without us, and it's going to happen in ways that maybe we're unhappy. So sometimes I think we have to give a little bit and say, you know, what's good for the future of the community, not hold on to what the past was. It doesn't get us anywhere hanging on to the past. We did that for a very long time in Belleville, and look where it got us. It got us in a bad place. So some change is always going to be necessary to move the town forward and do better things for the town and create better things for the town. And if, again, I think a parking space per bedroom is an excellent thing that we did up here. Previous 2 families that were built only required 2 spaces per unit. So if there were 2 units with 3 bedrooms each, I know that because my house was when they were built, 2017. It was only required to put on 2 spaces per unit, 2 in the garage, 2 outside. We increased that requirement. So we're accounting for more cars even when we say we shouldn't be too strict on cars, right? So we're doing the right things for these little neighborhoods. I really don't feel like we're creating a negative detriment at all. I don't know how anybody else, so I think 2-bedroom apartments are great. There's less of a chance that we will have families in there that will negatively impact our schools, rather than 3 bedrooms. So, I don't know how anybody else feels, but I'm okay with it.
I was actually quite happy with the concession when they actually did eliminate a bedroom. That actually hampered out a lot of my concerns that I had, so, and with them actually coming back to the subcommittee so we can actually see the plan before it's approved, actually doesn't give me any concern with this.
I think they made fair concessions.
It's a permitted use.
That's a permitted use.
Right there.
So if I could get a motion, if everyone is satisfied with this,
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
roll call.
Chairwoman Alvarado.
Yes.
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Banda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Mr. Graziano.
Yes.
Ms. Guaman.
Yes.
Mr. Guyan.
Yes.
Okay, application approved.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.
Well,
You ready, Bob?
I am ready, still awake.
Just give me a few seconds. Everyone come.
Long before you.
I'd say so, the last week. Next time I won't be here July 8th. Corinne? I won't be here for July 8th. July 8th, we're right here.
Oh, yes, okay. We'll have to dock.
My marriage is
It's a Monday, because of
Monday, everything's on.
my views are so
I can't vote on it. I rest on it. It's not, it just doesn't, I don't care.
You know, Jack.
28 years of arresting people, now all of a sudden it's fine. Now they want me to go against what I did. It just
You
doesn't.
definitely have a point.
But I'll put it on the record.
What you guys move up to the front?
I'm not, I'm just gonna recuse myself.
That's really what's up, they're all in the back. Then it won't really.
Just for personal.
Quick as I can.
Yes. Oh.
My big mouth on it. Not having a dinner.
Nobody's feeding you?
Have a great time. Thank you. I love cruises. My wife won't go on and we could do stores. Oh my gosh, we had a hurricane. My cousin, where's he from? He got out of, I don't know if you remember, one thing that tipped over. That was almost us.
All right, Mr. Gassion.
Correct.
We're ready to hear PB 2408, which is 523 Washington Avenue. Are you ready, Mr. Gassion?
I am, Madam Chairman.
Everybody could, yes.
I'm just going to recuse myself for personal and professional past reasons.
Okay. Everyone is ready? Yes.
Madam Chair, lady, members of the board. The council's name is Robert Gassion, this firm is Gassion and Pomaco. I represent the applicant in this matter, La Vida Gardens LLC. My client is a tenant at 523 Washington Avenue, which is a BG zone where the proposed use is conditionally permitted. My client has filed an application seeking preliminary and final major site plan approval in order to establish a cannabis dispensary. 523 is a location that everybody in town knows. It's the former Bradley Tire property. And Bradley Tire was there as long as I can remember. The architect will review the letters of Brian Banda and Tom, and the parking here, we have 9 spaces provided. I know the board has a concern about parking. I think with this application, it shouldn't be a concern. The witnesses you'll hear from are Joe McAllister, Michelle Baumann of La Vida Gardens, and Gerald Schubert, the architect. I'd like to call Joe McAllister first.
Mr. McAllister, would you please raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you shall give on this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do, sir.
Thank you. Give us your name and business address for the record.
Joseph McAllister, 194 Mountain Way, Rutherford, New Jersey.
And what is your business address, Mr. McGowan?
Business address we would use 523 Washington Ave, Belleville.
And what is your occupation?
My occupation is a project manager for Illicit Gardens, New Jersey.
And are you an employee of Illicit Gardens, New Jersey, or an employee of La Vida Gardens LLC?
Neither, I'm a contractor.
So you're a contractor employed by both of them, I assume?
Correct.
And in what capacity do you serve besides being the contractor?
The overall planning, construction, and bringing it into operations.
Now, is that entity, La Vida Gardens LLC, the tenant at 523 Washington Avenue in Belleville?
It is, Mr. Cashman.
And generally, what is it La Vida Gardens is looking to do at 523 Washington?
Open a Class 5 retail cannabis dispensary.
And do you have the state approval to do that?
We do.
Do you have the municipal approval from the Township of Belleville to do that?
We do.
I have no further questions of this witness, Madam Chairlady. Say, you say.
Yeah. Does anyone on the board have any other questions, please, gentlemen? No? Does the audience have any questions?
Michelle.
Question.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Michael Sheldon, 47 Light Street, just so that I know exactly what Class 5 means. That's just confined to selling. There's no manufacturing or growing of cannabis. It's
Just a dispensary. Just
dispensary. That's
what the application
That's
is
what I
for.
wanted to make sure. Okay, thank you.
I'm sure.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Any other
Michelle.
questions?
Hi, my name is Michelle Bowman.
Raise your hand. Thank you. We'll get to your name. You swear the testimony you shall give on this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, now you can give us your name and your business address.
My name is Michelle Bowman, that's B-O-W-M-A-N, and business address, I guess, would be 523 Washington.
And by whom are you employed?
Illicit Gardens.
And is Illicit Gardens also responsible for the La Vida application?
Yes.
And what are the proposed hours of operation at this location?
8 a.m. to, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
And what is the proposed number of employees?
Total 14.
And what's the maximum number you plan to have at any one time?
8.
And can you describe where the product will be stored at this site?
In the product vault.
In the what?
In the product vault, in a DEA cage.
And can you discuss the proposed service area, the retail service area that will be there?
The retail service area sits in the middle of the building. You enter through the lobby and walk up through a queue to the bud tenders behind the counter, where you can confirm your identity and then get a consultation from them in regards to what products you would like to purchase.
And how is the product delivered to the customer?
After the bud tender puts the order in, or the product specialist puts the order in that the customer or patient would like, they retrieve it from the back of house. So there's pass-through windows that go from the DEA cage secured area onto the actual behind the counter where the POSs are with the product specialist, and they'll hand it through that opening.
Is the product allowed to be consumed on the premises?
It is not.
And review the proposed security measures at the site.
So the building is secured with the surveillance and alarm system. There's also access control on many of the doors, including the vault. So as you walk into the property, you would be met by a security guard who confirms you're of age to enter the facility, and then walk up to the receptionist. She then checks you into the system and sends you back through an access controlled area, door, onto the retail floor.
where again you stand in that queue and then your identity is confirmed a third time by the person behind the counter. There are several cameras in this area, all with facial recognition, along with motion sensors, and then as well in the DEA cage and all other rooms in the back of house. You can see the cameras. Sorry, it's a little bit easier if I have the drawing in front of me.
I'm sorry. You want to discuss that, we have to identify. Explain to.
No, excuse me.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Okay, let's. Sorry, Mr. National, I'm ready.
That's okay.
Thank you.
For the record, we were hired very late in this application, so we did not submit the documentation. It was submitted directly by the client, just so everybody understands. So, we're about to discuss the layout of the property. Does everybody have the diagram? If you don't, I'm going to distribute some.
Was the diagram submitted? We just don't have it, or was it not submitted?
I
We do have plans.
Yeah, I know
It
that.
was part of the plans, okay. Well, then this will just help us understand it a little bit better.
This is a color version, that is different.
So we're gonna mark this
We're
A1.
gonna mark this as A1.
This is the security place. So I'm not part of this place.
Yeah.
These plans should be.
Well, this is, yes, you just said, this is a security area. Frank? Yeah. You said that this is a security plan, not part of that plan.
Now, what is you have in your hand?
Security plan.
Okay, so we're marking that as A1. Now, would you review that security plan with the board members?
So you can see here this green area, that's the entrance to the lobby, and you can see the reception desk here. The cameras are noted in the black, and then there is a panic button behind the reception desk. Those are at every POS system, in the manager's office, in the vault area, and in the receiving space as well. So we set those up, it's over the standard required by the CRC in New Jersey, but we like to have them accessible by all staff members.
Now, you said you have a guard. The security guard, does he carry a gun?
He does carry weapons.
And is he from a licensed security company?
He is. They have to be licensed in New Jersey through SORA.
Will you
SORA,
be
S-O-R-A.
licensed in New Jersey by?
SORA.
Okay. And would you tell us what that stands for?
I'm forgetting the acronym right now, I'm sorry.
Now, will you be doing any deliveries from this site to customers?
No.
And can you review with us the procedure for the product to be delivered to 523 Wash, if this is approved?
So as you can see this door in the back of the building, it's got a peephole on it and also a doorbell mechanism. That's an intercom that has the security guard that's armed has
Would you
the
just
iPad.
clearly point that out so
Yeah.
they can take it?
Right here in the back. So the security guard in the morning receives a manifest for any deliveries that would be happening on that day. On the manifest, it has the license plate and driver's identification along with his agent ID. The security guard, upon being notified that the vehicle is there, which generally they call about 10 minutes out to let you know that they'll be pulling up, he'll go outside of the building, confirm the vehicle and the driver information, and then bring them through the man trap area. So that's why you see two doors on this back receiving area. They will take the product from the car, bring it in there, confirm it, and then the driver leaves out that same door that they came in. The staff would then bring, with the security guard, the product into the back of house and place it inside of the DEA cage for storage.
Now, how frequently do you get these deliveries of product?
Generally 5 days a week, so Monday through Friday, and only in the daytime hours, generally in the morning before noon.
And what type of vehicle makes the delivery?
A white unmarked van.
And is there an expected time of delivery, or you just have to wait for the call to be received?
They give you windows, and we can request that those windows be earlier in the day, which is a low traffic time in the business.
Now, I'm going to repeat a question. A guard is there with is an armed guard there when the deliveries are made?
Yes.
And there's an armed guard on site at all times?
Yes. All hours that the business is open.
And the hours again are 10 to 10?
I know that the other cannabis dispensaries were approved from 10 to 8.
10 to 8.
We were asking for 10 to 10, if possible, at least on Friday.
That's your requested time, 10 to 10. I have no further questions to this witness. I do have an architect remaining to testify.
Does Illicit Gardens, am I saying that name correctly?
Correct.
Illicit Gardens operate other dispensaries?
Not as of yet.
Not as of now?
Here, not in New Jersey, but we have 6 dispensaries in Missouri. In Kansas City.
Missouri?
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are you guys gonna do home delivery?
No, I asked that question. They are not. I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear.
And
No.
you altering the building, altering it, or a new?
I'll let the architect review that. Yeah, there's some alterations.
The question was, is it a new building, or are you just gonna, like, modify it?
No, they're modifying the existing building, but again, the architect will review that. Not a tremendous amount of modifications.
SORA stands for Security Office Registration Act.
So during our subcommittee meeting, we did have an agreement of 10 to 8.
That's true, yes. It was just a request.
So, yeah, we would keep what we said there,
Okay.
just to clarify that.
I didn't know about that.
That was the agreement, and that's what the agreement's gonna be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions I have for the architect? So I'll open up to the audience. Does anybody have any? Mr. Sheldon, strictly what her testimony was about.
Yes. I was going to define what SORA stands for, but that's already been testified to. There was testimony that there will be a total of 14 employees, but 8 present at any given time, right?
Not at any given time. That would be the max that would
The
be present.
maximum, right. There are 9 parking spots on this facility. Will those employees be using those parking spots, or will they be parking on the street or elsewhere?
Generally, we like to hire people locally, so we hope to have those folks not having to commute to work.
Right. But if they are commuting, are they going to park on your site, or will they be asked to park elsewhere?
I mean, we would be okay with the parking spots, yeah. And it's kind of like on a roll, like the business is really slower in the morning, busier around 2 to 5, and then slows back down. So you'd imagine those employees kind of coming in and out of the business kind of on a flow.
I'm glad Mr. Guillaume's pointed out that there's already been an agreement to have hours of operation from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. because I was concerned about the 10 p.m. If it's 8 p.m., that's better. I live, I'm outside the 200-foot radius, but I'm about 500 feet away from it, so I'm glad that concession's been made, that the closure time will be 8 p.m. I would be actually okay even with 10 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays for obvious reasons for their patrons, but other days of the week it should be closed at 8 o'clock.
Consistent with other dispensaries, so we can see it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, I guess that's it. We're posting.
Okay. Mr. Architect.
You swear the testimony you shall give on this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please give us your name and business address for the record.
My name is Gerard Schubert, Gerard, last name S-C-H, U-B as in boy, E-R-T. My business address is 50 Harrison Street, unit 488, Hoboken, New Jersey.
Your occupation and from what school did you graduate?
I'm a registered architect in the state of New Jersey. I graduated my Bachelor of Science in Architecture from Temple University and my Master's in Architecture from New Jersey Institute of Technology.
And are you a member of any society?
Could you repeat that? I could not hear.
Oh,
There
speak
you go.
louder, please.
There are mic,
You
maybe
can stand over here,
use
you don't,
this.
you mind standing there?
Start from the top.
Just start with your qualifications.
I got my Bachelor of Science in Architecture from Temple University and my Master's in Architecture from NJIT.
Are you a member of any societies or professional groups connected with your work?
NCAR, National Accreditation.
And you are a licensed engineer of the state of New Jersey?
I'm a licensed architect.
Architect, I'm sorry about that.
I'll accept his credentials.
Give us briefly the benefit of some of the experience you've had in the field of architecture.
I've been licensed since 2017. I've worked mostly in Hudson County with sporadic work in surrounding counties. I do mostly residential with about 25% commercial involvement.
Have you testified previously before zoning?
Yes,
board?
in Hoboken, and Jersey City, and Auburn.
And you were accepted as an expert when in those locations?
Yes.
Would you describe the existing site? Thank you.
I said that.
Sorry about that. I jumped. Describe the existing site.
Existing site is a tire installation garage. It is a one-story masonry construction building without insulation, with two large garage bays in the front and a small storefront for the shop or for the office. The entire site, the front, is a giant curb cut. There is no curb, there is no sidewalk. It is mostly paved over.
Will you be changing that curb cut?
We will be changing that curb cut.
As a result of that change, you expect to have possibly one, surely one, possibly two spaces in addition to the parkings on the street.
We would addition, yes, 2 street parking, possibly 1 for sure.
Now, will any alterations be made to the building?
Yes.
Will any additions be made to the building?
No.
Would you describe the proposed interior alterations?
Sure. We are not taking down any interior masonry bearing walls. All the walls that are going up are non-load bearing partition walls. We are adding an entrance to the back that Michelle talked about as far as the security or for deliveries. We are closing up the 2 front garage bays.
Is it possible for you
glass.
to refer to something on
Sure.
the plan so it would make it easier for the board to realize what exactly what you're talking about?
Additionally, this would be the appropriate time to introduce these exhibits of the updated plans.
When were they updated?
I updated them, we submitted this set, I guess, when you printed these out. There was one item missing, which is the DBA cage off the plans. And so I have added that to the plan, to 2 sheets. Whereas,
We're going to have to mark that
that's it.
into evidence as A2, you have 2 pages, did you say?
2 pages, yes.
A2 and A3, I believe, if that's okay with the chair lady and the board attorney. Describe those 2 exhibits and in particular concentrate on the changes from the existing exhibits.
The only change was that the DBA cage, which stores the product, was missing off of these sets of plans. So it's a structure that's a wall with a gate to walk into, as well as the ceiling is a wire mesh ceiling. So the other walls are all masonry block. This is all security and keep people from driving cars through walls to get products.
Continue with your explanation of the interior of the building. Anything further?
No.
I have a question.
Now, would you read?
Mr. Bishop,
I'm sorry.
the wall itself is going to be enclosed and the door is the cage? Or is it all going to be cage?
The entire area that holds the product has to have a certain security to it. So 3 of the walls are masonry block, which is great. The other one is a wire mesh cage. And it's a wall with the doors that has a, like a card reader. The gate is caged, plus the ceiling is also caged. It's not like a drip wall.
I just wanted clarification. I get the door,
Yeah,
but I thought the rest of it was gonna be a solid wall.
yes, solid masonry,
It is gonna be
yes.
No,
Oh, no.
I think she's saying the wall where the DA cage is, the other masonry wall, she understands, it is a cage, yeah. It's like a evidence locker, basically.
Same as a police evidence lock.
Three walls are gonna be cinder
so
block,
one wall.
and one wall's gonna be caged, and my assumption the cage is gonna be from ceiling to deck.
Ceiling,
Or
yeah,
is it, right?
Yes.
Flats
Right.
floor to ceiling. Right, so nobody could crawl over. Gotcha.
Are any changes to be made to the exterior of the building?
Yes. And
Would you review those, please?
sure. So the building, that's the second.
Front elevation.
Yeah. Keep up with me.
That's page, right?
So, there we go. Right. So we are, these are the 2 prior car bay garage doors that we're closing in with glass block and wood elements on the outside as well
Have to
as.
speak a little louder.
We're closing in 2 garage bays with glass block and some wood treatments. Also, some large concrete planters in front. We have new signage which is conforming. It is 16 inches tall. It is channel letters that are diffusely lit. We have stereo lighting, downlighting from above. And we have a new stucco treatment over the existing brick over the entire facade. And we're changing the doors that were prior office, customer area to more retail glass doors. Those are the major changes to the front side of the building.
Now, describe the site, and in particular, there's a question before about the parking.
Sure.
The parking spaces, ingress, egress, and number of spaces.
Currently, the site has 3 parking spaces, which are basically, you have to go to the sidewalk to get to. So what we're proposing is to have one curb cut that's only 24 feet wide. It's one way in. We have angled parking along the bottom and accessible parking for a van in the rear. We are expanding the asphalt area to cover this. We also have 2, since we have, it's a narrow site, we're providing 2 K-turn areas for cars to back into in order to exit.
Would you tell the board where those 2 locations are for the K-turn?
One is at the back of the building, the other is at the front of the building.
And again, the total number of spaces, not counting the space for the delivery vehicle.
9 spaces total.
And again, the number you think are being added on the street as a result of reducing the width of the driveway.
2.
And did you have an opportunity to review the letter of the zoning officer, Mr. Banda?
I did.
Can you please review that with the board as to any issues that were raised?
Mr. Banda gave us a 17-point letter. The first one was, this is the conditional use, which it is. Parking stalls are not crossing into the right of way. Applicant shall follow the zoning ordinance in detail. One of those items was the exterior face of the building. The brick, wood, floater stone or composite stone. One of the areas that we are not compliant is the amount of glazing that the zoning ordinance requires. We're asked for 75% is the code ordinance, we only are providing 33%. The reason we don't have a lot of glass, again, is security. So some of the openings for windows around the perimeter of the building are being blocked up with masonry as a security measure, not to try to not meet your zoning ordinance. So that is one variance that we are seeking. The site plan ordinance in detail, we are adding a sidewalk to the front. We are following the ordinance for the paved parking, the paved area between the sidewalk and the street, along with 2 deciduous trees. Signage is in conformance with the township sign ordinance, as I said, with the 16-inch tall letters. We are removing, we have a refuse plan. We have a new we are showing some dumpster enclosure with a PVC gate in the front to hide the refuse from the visual of the sidewalk. We are also mounting some HVAC condensers to the side of the building as opposed to the roof. And we are enclosing them with some baffles in order to reduce the sound. No pylon signs are permitted. We have already removed the sign that had the Goodyear sign on it.
And the sidewalk, you'll do what's required in 16 by upgrading the sidewalks per se?
Correct. We have stamped concrete.
And I think you've covered everything in that letter. You also had the opportunity to review Mr. Harris's letter, is that correct?
Correct.
Can you check that and see if you're in compliance with that letter?
Sure. Site improvements include repair and restriping of the parking area, which we are doing. We shall address drainage is another issue. So we are providing a large seepage pit, a 6-foot deep seepage pit in the back of the property, which already has a natural grade to that back area. We are adding additional trees in that area, as well as some arborvitae along the perimeter against our neighboring yards. We addressed the noise of the proposed AC units by putting baffles on.
Repeat that, please, as to the noise from the AC. You're going to put baffles on?
Baffles around them to reduce the sound. The streetscape design is being followed. The existing driveway at the front is to be closed. We addressed the letter, zoning letter, to discuss the hour of operations, deliveries to site, outside lighting, trash, and recycling. Michelle talked about customer shopping and pickup. ADA parking is van accessible. There is a planting plan, yes, for the landscape area around the perimeter, as just discussed. And we gave
Surveys have been submitted,
surveys
correct?
submitted, yes, and the Goodyear sign is gone.
I think that covers it. Now, you're able to comply with the comments made by Mr. Harris, is that correct, generally?
Yes.
I have no further questions of this witness, Madam Chairman.
So let me just ask real quick, so just so I got it clear. Under Mr. Banda's letter, you can comply with all the points that he made with the exception of the glazing, which was the 33% versus the 75%.
Yes.
And you can comply, in fact, have already done so with regard to many of the items in Mr. Harris' letter.
Correct.
I gotta write these things, Bob.
Can I just add one thing? I think it was after the subcommittee.
Tom, you can't add new things.
I'm not adding things. I just want to say that we met on site with Joe and the architect, and Bradley actually had angled parking against the building. He never used it. He just dumped cars like a tandem and everything. So we duplicate we were able to get 9 spaces. He's going to repave the lot. He's going to put a seepage pit in the back, which is good. He's adding some shade trees. I asked him to add arborvitae, which he showed. There's existing Well, one side is the CBS building, and the other side has chain link fencing around the site already. He's doing the streetscaping, he's putting stamped concrete from the right-of-way line all the way up to his building, and I tried to convince him to put a fence like Food Depot, where he's putting in planters, which probably might look just as good in the front. So he did everything I asked him to do, and so I think the site's going to look a lot better than what he originally came in with.
Is there a fence in the back?
Is the property fenced in?
In the back?
In the rear.
Yeah, in the back, there's a chain link fence in the
Because
back.
I know when it was Bradley Tires, a lot of people had problems with the garbage that was back there. We used to get complaints all the time, but that's all been cleaned.
Is there residential homes in the back?
Yeah.
Do we want to do a privacy fence? You said it's a chain link, right?
That's gonna be updated and changed?
We will do a privacy fence.
Thank you.
What's your name again? The last name?
McAllister.
Composite.
Composite.
Six foot.
6 foot.
6 foot.
6 foot composite.
And through the chair, if I have one more question,
Absolutely.
I'd like to go back. Security, I'm going to assume that Belleville Police has already been involved, they know it, they'll be,
I walk the site with them.
okay, but they'll have eyes into it too?
Yes, and so they come in, it's my understanding they come
Oh,
when
they
when the security measures are up, like the walls, before the white walls go up, before the sheet
But they also have eyes into it.
The police did a report, and their only shortcoming was the safety. So they're adding a DEA cage, which I think they approved.
Yes.
Well, that was the one change I think you were making, the plan.
Yeah.
Captain Contract.
And the police approved it, right?
Yes. Content was,
Again, I have no further witnesses.
Anyone else have any questions? I'm going to close this portion of the audience. Sheldon, come on up. Please stay as far as the building.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if I could see the architectural rendering. I'm the only one here who
Doesn't have it in front of them.
hasn't seen any of this. I wanted to see what.
In the meantime, is there anyone else that?
Can I borrow just for a few seconds?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'll return to
Let me
my
see
seat.
what's that.
I tell you what, I'll sum up, and if he has anything, he's got a question, I have to look at the plan, I'll yield, then I would have to sum up again, positive, sum up to that point.
I just wanted to, one time, Mr. Graziano had mentioned about some of the historical problems with the Bradley Tire place. Since I'm somewhat close to it, I'm on Floyd Street, my neighbors in that section every year would be inundated with mosquitoes. Bradley Tire would throw all their old tires in the back, which would fill with rainwater, so by midsummer, there would be huge.
And they're curing that.
Right, well, we're trading one buzz with another type of buzz.
How long you been working on that?
Must be Irish, he's a
All right, let me just return to my seat and take a look at things.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, you can sum up.
It'll be brief, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, lady members of the board, obviously this is a permitted conditional use. There are 5 conditions, all of which we comply with. Obviously, parking was an issue on the 2 cases we sat and watched. We have 9 spaces. Maybe it was available to Bradley Tire, but they never used them. So I happen to be involved in 2 other cases involving marijuana dispensaries, and we had nothing like that in those 2 cases. So we have 9 spaces, maximum number of employees any one time 8, and we added 2 spaces on the street by closing up the driveway to some extent. So net effect, we're plus 11 spaces, which, as was pointed out by one of my witnesses, there isn't a crowded time really where that should be an issue. In just normal circumstances, 8 employees, not at all driving the vehicle. There'll be some from town, there'll be some that ride together, so I think we have plenty of parking to meet this situation. So it's a conditional use variance that meets the conditions, permitted use obviously in that scenario. We're looking for some major site plan approval. The changes that Mr. Harris recommended have been made. There's a nice improvement, and although Bradley Tire was an institution in this town, probably here longer than I had been here, this is an improvement to the site for sure. So, and probably you need some business in that area of town after the stores that have closed up there. So, I thank the board for the time and attention.
Mr. Sheldon?
So I was looking for you to return, just if you had any questions.
Yeah, just one last question. I have no problems with this application, where, even though I'm not the biggest proponent of the use of cannabis to each his own. I just wanted to ask for everyone this clarification. If upon this being approved, this would be the third retail dispensary now in Belleville. There's one on the south end of Washington I just opened, and one on Belmont, which you recently approved, so this would be number 3. And I think the limit is, Mr. Bennett?
4.
4 is 4
Limit's
total.
4.
4 total, okay. All right.
Only one more.
That's it.
Based on the current law.
I think this is it. I think this is it.
No, we gave 4.
Well, you
This
get-
is the
where was
third
the-
one.
This
This
is
is the
third.
third one.
There's one to
The
go.
fourth one hasn't come up yet.
Right, there's an option there for one more. All right.
Right.
Mr. Sheldon, given that Mr. Gassion's already summed up, do you want to, is there anything else you want to say about the application? I want to make sure I covered it all.
I wish you the best of luck in the even though this is cannabis, I think at least with my area, this will be an improvement overall for my area, my neighborhood, my area of Floyd Street. So they have all the security in place. I think they have all their I's dotted and T's crossed, so I wish you the best.
All right, since there's no other, I'm going to close the public portion.
Thank you. And again, I don't have to add anything to my submission. Thank you. Again, thank you for your time and attention.
All right, can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Chairwoman Inaugurato,
Yes.
Mr. Venero.
I'd just like to make a quick statement. I just want to state that I'm personally against cannabis. I voted against the one on Belleville Avenue because of its proximity to the school. This one isn't by a school. I think it really improves the area. And it really only needs one variance, which I agree with the glazing. I think for security reasons, you should not have 75%. I just want to state personally I'm against it, but it meets, it's a permitted use. My vote's going to be a yes.
Mr. Vanda,
Yes.
Mr. Graziano,
I felt the same way as Mr. Venero felt, even though sitting on the council, we voted for retailing. I thought we should have did less, but other than that, the use is the use, it's permitted, so I vote yes.
Ms. Blumen. Yes. Mr. Guyan,
I don't really have anything to say as good as them, so I'll just say yes.
okay, approved, all in favor.
All right, looking for meeting adjournment?
Second.
Yeah, like before we close, just for us council folks, I would like to, maybe in our minutes, or going forward in our next meetings, because I sit on a redevelopment committee, I would like some time that I can share all the up and coming things with you all in the redevelopment meeting before they come to you. If we could do that, if we could add that to stuff, is that legal?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to add times on our agenda to do that, because we meet once a month.
By the way.
Thank you so much.
And you want to do
I
that?
don't believe in cannabis.
But you have to do public,
All right, so
right? You have to.
You're not that.
Like a work session, what is it?
It's a work session.
Work session.
Well, you could just include it in
It's gonna be highlights, of what's in play and where we're at. So this way, when it comes here, if you have any questions, we can meet after that, not in farm, whatever, we can talk about it, Brian and I can give it a
Can we
story.
take that outside?
How, what, where, and when. This way you know it above. Okay?
yes, I think that works well.
I would like to do that, I'd like to offer that up going forward.
And also, there is a special meeting as a reminder on Thursday, June 27th, and also a regular meeting on July 8th.